Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Let me welcome everyone to the 23rd Annual National Workshop of the Bibles and Sarola, Nigeria, holding at Jasa Ground in Ilaro today, which started yesterday. So we'll be continuing with the program today, the 19th February 2022. We will be starting with recitation from the Holy Quran, and that will be done by Mukarram Ahmad Abdullah Sir. Missionary Abdullah. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أفمن يعلم أنما أنزل إليك من ربك الحق أفمن يعلم أنما كمن هو أعمى إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب الذين يوفون بعهد الله ولا ينقضون الميثاق والذين يصلون ما ويخشون ربهم ويخافون سوء الحساب والذين صبروا ابتغاء وجه ربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأنفقوا مما السيئة أولئك لهم عقبى الدار جنات عدن يدخلونها جنات عدن يدخلونها ومن صلح من آبائهم ومن صلح من آبائهم وأزواجهم وذرياتهم والملائكة يدخلون عليهم من كل باب سلام عليكم بما صبرتم سلام عليكم بما صبرتم فنعم عقبى الدار. Translation. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Is he then who knows that what has been revealed to thee from thy Lord is true, like one who is blind? But only those gifted with understanding take heed. Those who fulfill Allah's pact and break not the covenant, and those who join what Allah has commanded to be joined, and fear their Lord, and dread the evil reckoning, and those who persevere in seeking the favor of their Lord, and observe prayer, and spend out of that with which Allah has provided them secretly and openly, and repel evil with good. It is this who shall have the best reward of final abode, gardens of eternity. They shall enter them, and also those who are righteous from among their fathers, and their wives, and their children, and angels shall enter unto them from every gate, saying, Peace be unto you, because you were steadfast. Behold, how excellent is the reward of the final abode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallah khair jazak. Mukarram Ahmad Abdullah. The next item on the agenda is considered, and that will be anchored by Mukarram Nafiu Abdul Salam.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صل على حسنه وجماله رياه يسقي القلب كالريحان وجه المؤيد ظاهر في وجهه وشهوده لمحت بهذا الشان فإذا يحب ويستحق جماله شغفا به من زمرة الأقدام وجوه كريم باطن في التقى الاسم وفاء وطوائف الفتيان فاق الورى بكماله وجماله وجلاله وجنانه الريان لا شك أن محمدا رئيق الكرام ونقبة الأعيان تمت عليه صفات كل مزية ختمت به نعماء كل زمان والله إن محمدا كان وبه الوصول بسدة السلطان هو فخر كل مطهر ومقدس وبه يباعي الأسكر الروحاني هو خير كل مقرب متقدم والفضل بالخيرات لا بزمان فالطل قد يبدو أمام الوابل فالطل طل ليس كالتاتان يا ربي صل على نبيك دائما في هذه دنيا وبعث ثاني. Translation into English àti ìtumọ̀ sí èdè Yorùbá. O handsome young man, how can the elegance of your beauty and its refined grace be fully described? You are the one whose fragrance captivates the heart like the scent of a fragrant plant. Àràmàǹdà irú ọ̀dọ́ wo rèé? Ó rẹwà jọjọ, ó ṣojú lọ́yìn púpọ̀, títa sánsán rẹ̀ mú mi lọ́kàn ju òdòdó olóòórùn lọ. The presence of Allah the Protector is reflected in the blessed face of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his entire manner and moral conduct sparkles with the same characteristics magnificence. Ojú Olúwa ọba alámòjútó hàn ní ojú rẹ̀ yòó, gbogbo àṣeyọrí rẹ̀ náà sì ń ṣe àfihàn ìtànsán ògo ńláńlá náà. So, it is for this reason that he is loved so much, and his spiritual grace and beauty deserves that he alone should be adored with all devotion, excluding the group of all other friends. Èyí mú kí a fẹ́ràn rẹ̀, àní ìjẹ́ ọmọlúwàbí rẹ̀ ń dáni lọ́rùn tó bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́ tí ó fi jẹ́ pé a ní láti fẹ́ràn rẹ̀ tayọ ohun gbogbo tí a nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí lọ. He has great moral qualities and he is of noble conduct, bountiful, and a friend of those who are God-fearing. He is exceedingly generous, and he has surpassed the old contingent in charitable young men. Ọlọ́kàn tútù, alápọ̀nlé, ọlọ́kàn gbígbòòrò, ọ̀rẹ́ àwọn olùbẹ̀rù Allah, ẹni tó lawọ́, òun tayọ gbogbo ẹ̀dá pátáyányá nínú àkótán ojúlówó wa. The Holy Prophet of Islam possesses superiority over all creation due to his spiritual excellence, his elegance and grace, and his majesty, and his ever fresh and spirituality refreshing heart and soul. Àní ó tayọ gbogbo ènìyàn nínú àṣepé ìṣe àti títóbi pẹ̀lú, bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni nínú ògo àti àkótán ìwà ti ẹ̀mí tí kò lábàwọ́n. No doubt It is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who is the best of all creation. He is the essence and vital force of the elect of God. Dájú ṣáká Muhammad nìkan ṣoṣo ni adára tán nínú gbogbo ẹ̀dá, olórí àwọn àyànfẹ́ tí kò jẹ́ kí ẹwà àwọn àyò Ọlọ́run ṣá ni. All noble qualities pertaining to every kind of superiority have reached perfection in him, and also the spiritual bounties of all times have reached their climax in him, and Allah will now grant this only to those who truly follow him. Gbogbo oríkì tí a fi kí ẹni re ló ní àṣepé lára rẹ̀, gbogbo ayọ̀ ohun ìtura ayé gbogbo ni ó ṣe rẹ́gí ní ara rẹ̀. By Allah, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is certainly like the Prime Minister in a spiritual relation to Almighty God, and it is through him alone that there can be access for anyone to the threshold of the King Almighty God. Mo fi Allah ṣe ẹ̀gbẹ́ Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ní àròlé àtọ̀run nítòótọ́, nípa rẹ̀ nìkan ní àfihàn ọ̀nà tààrà dé ọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run. He is the bride of every purified and holy person, and the spiritual truth of Allah also tells him and take pride in him. Òun ni ẹni àmúyangàn fún àwọn olódodo àti ẹni mímọ́ gbogbo, ẹni àmúṣe fọ́rífọ́rí fún àwọn ẹgbàágbèje oníwà bí Ọlọ́run. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We thank Karam nephew Abu Salam for the beautiful rendition of the praise of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The next item is the Majlis pledge, and that is going to be led by our Sadar, Majlis and Sarada Nigeria. Bismillah.
The Majlis pledge. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah. He is one and has no partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and messenger. I solemnly pledge that I shall endeavor throughout my life for the propagation and consolidation of Islam and ideas, and for upholding the throne of Khilafah. I shall also be prepared to offer the greatest sacrifice for this cause. Moreover, I shall exhort my children to always remain dedicated and devoted to Khilafah. Inshallah. Jazakumullah.
Jazakumullah khairan jazak to our Sadar sir. The next item is the chairman's opening speech, which I'm going to take very briefly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna sayyidana Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-rahmanir rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The respected Sadar Majlis Ansarullah Nigeria, the respected Naib Amir Finance and Admin, respected General Secretary Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Nigeria, the respected Sadar Majlis Sudam al-Ahmadiyya Nigeria, and the respected National Tabligh Secretary, all the respected National Amila members here present, all the circuit presidents, all the presidents, all the Mubali and the Mualim, and all the Nasir Majlis Sudam members, Majlis Atfal, the Lajinas present, the Nasrat present. I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. We give glory to Almighty Allah for bringing each and every one of us here since yesterday. Some other people are still on the way. May Allah bring them here safely. And may He see each and every one of us also back safely. May He grant us the benefit of the attendance of this year's national workshop. My opening remark will be to request that what we have been saying or preaching to ourselves theoretically, we should please put them into practice. It seems that our programs are being seen as talk shops. It shouldn't be talk shops. It should be critical evaluation points where we truly evaluate what we discussed before and then channel a better way forward. It will not be wrong to make mistake, or it will be wrong not to amend when you discover that there is a mistake. It will be very helpful for us to be evaluating ourselves on the assignment that has been given to us by His Holiness from time to time. That is when we can wake up either from slumber or from sleeping. His Holiness has given us 3 major assignments among other assignments that we know to be the assignment of the Jamaat. And he has been speaking to us, the executives of the Jamaat, at different levels, reminding us of our various assignments, and specifically the members of Majlis Ansarullah Nigeria. The theme of this year's workshop is growing the Jamaat, the role of Ansarullah. How is the Jamaat in Nigeria going to grow from where we are now? And what role is the Majlis Ansarullah going to play in the growth of the Jamaat? This is not a theoretical subject at all. It is a practical subject, and I want to connect it with our historical background as well as the assignment given to us by His Holiness. I am very happy that it is the National Tabligh Secretary himself that was requested to speak to us on how we can grow the Nigerian Jamaat. But before he will start, I want to remind him and also remind all the nursery that are here where we are. Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat came to Nigeria in the year 1916. So if we remove 1916 from 2022, we will be having about 106 years, isn't it? Yes. 106 years. Today, let us ask of our tajneed. How much is our tajneed? As we stand today, our tajneed, as per the AMJS, is in the region of 65,000 plus. We can round it up to 66,000. Which means, for over 100 years, we are only able to see 65,000 individuals, or let's say 66,000 individuals. But when we had Mulakat with Uzur on the 28th of February last year, and when our Sadar was telling His Holiness that our population was around 5,000 or thereabout, Uzur said no, you are over 200,000 Nasir in Nigeria, not 5,000, which is true. Sadar Sahib was also correct, because it's only those of us that Sadar Sahib can see as active members or even inactive members that are still within the Jamaat that Sadar Sahib is reckoning with. But based on the bayats that were reported over the years that are with His Holiness, is over 200,000. So remove 5,000 from 200,000. 195,000 are missing, isn't it? So if you say you are winning people into the Jamaat and you are also losing them, and at the rate you are losing is higher than the rate you are retaining, does it not call for a workshop? And that is the essence of this workshop. So don't believe that if you fight somebody and he leaves the Jamaat, he's not coming to the mosque, you have won. You have not won the battle. You've lost the battle. So Uzur has given us the task of working on converting new people to the Jamaat at the rate of 100,000 per annum. 100,000. When I heard about that, I said we should be able to do more than 100,000. 100,000 in the population of 208 million by now. Nigeria is about 208 million. So if our population is not up to 1 million, you can see the percentage of members of the Jamaat compared with the population of Nigeria. So if Uzur has given us 100,000 to convert to the Jamaat, so that means he has given us 10 years to convert just only 1 million. And this 1 million we have converted before. But the issue is that where are the 1 million we converted before? That made 1 million to remain 65,000. Why? Where are they? And what is the reason we are not finding them? And that is why I said we need to pay our attention to how to retain our members within the Jamaat and how to, when more converts into the Jamaat, we have to eliminate all kinds of quarrels. And we also have to introduce our logo into our daily lives, which is love for all, hatred for none. Without introducing our logo in our daily life, it is going to be extremely difficult for us to retain even born Ahmadis within the Jamaat. And it is for all of us to make sure that we pay attention to this workshop, and by the time we will be leaving here, our preoccupation will be, how do I retain members of my own family within the Jamaat, and how do I add other people to it? This morning during the question and answer or comments, we touched a little bit on issues between male and female within the Jamaat. It's an issue that is affecting the Jamaat negatively and seriously, which we need to work on. Most of us think that it is when we claim our rights that we are men or we are man. I want to show her that, yes, I am the head of this family. You want to claim your rights. And it is when you claim your rights that you will earn reward, isn't it? If the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had claimed his rights, would there have been Islam? When people abused him, what did he do? He was smiling. He would do good to people, they will abuse him, and he will be smiling. People will do evil to him, even up to the point where he is praying. We know all those history. I don't have to be repeating them. The person that used to put feces where he used to pray, one day he got there and he couldn't find any feces. And when they finished prayers, what did he say? He said, where is the woman that used to, what happened to her that she didn't put feces here so that we can clear it and we can pray? He said, the woman is not feeling fine. If it is us today, we will say God has catch her. The prophet didn't do that. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After prayers, he said, let us go and see her and check after her welfare. And it was on that account that the woman also became Muslim. A lot of stories like that. So we as husband in the house, when we are then claiming our right, my wife has done this wrong, then I will claim my right to let her know I am right. Is that how we are going to progress? So I will draw our attention to this. That right from our home, we need to tackle those challenges and make sure that we invite people to Islam. Because we shouldn't allow any of our children to go outside the fold. And this is possible only if we, as nurses, focus on not claiming our rights. The other one is the assignment the Huzur gave us. It's good to evaluate ourselves. 100,000 divided by 12. That will give us 8,300 bayats. 8,300 bayats monthly. Isn't it? I cannot hear any answer. Because I know we are not having the figure. So it's difficult. The next question I will ask is, so how many are we converting on a monthly basis? Between August, 1st of August last year, because our buyer didn't move fast last year, Uzu gave us July to be added to the previous year, making 13 months. But we still have another 100,000 for this ongoing year. Between 1st of August and 31st of January, the total buyers that we obtained from all over the country is 1,762. 1,762 for 6 or 7 months up to the end of January. And in only 1 month, we are supposed to be doing 8,333. So, for half of the year, we did not even do 1/4 of only 1 month. Therefore, we need to pay attention to this workshop, or what do we need to do differently? What are we doing wrongly? As I told us, our behavior is very important. When somebody was appointed as a secretary in the UK, he went to Uzur. How do I go about this job? Uzur said, pay attention to Tarbiyah. If you pay attention to Tarbiyah, then your tabligh is going to work. But if the Tarbiyah doesn't work, then the tabligh, the finance, every other thing will not work. So I will request that we pay attention to our Tarbiyah so that our tabligh activities can be rewarded. I know the chairman of Islamic Committee, who is also the National Tarbiyah Secretary, is having a sleepless night in terms of a lot of Tarbiyah issues that are referred to that office. And as I have said earlier before, 2 sets of people are leading in finding solutions to the challenges we are facing. And the first is Ansarullah, and the second team are the missionary group. If we get the 2 right, we will get every other thing right. Because Ansarullah is the father of the house, isn't it? Yes. Ansarullah is the father of the Majlis Rudam. Ansarullah is the husband of the Lightner. Ansarullah is the father or the father of the father of Atfal, isn't it? He's also the father of the father or of the mother of the Nasrat. So everything starts with him as the head. And al-ulama hum warathatul anbiya. The people that can sustain our morality in a very clear manner are the missionaries. Because that's what they learn. That is the science that they learn. On how to get people to behave in the right way. Practically, that's their job. And luckily, we are the institution where missionaries are trained. So, if we get these 2 bodies right, to my mind, we will get every other thing right. So, I would request that each and every one of us pay attention to our Tarbiyah. Let those of us who are men be very kind to our wives. Let us be kind to our children. let us learn how to overlook the faults of our family members, and let us learn how to overlook the misdeed or inadequacies of our neighbors. It is when we do all this and it's convenient for us to do so, that's when we can be growing the numbers of the Jamaat. May Almighty Allah make it easier for us. Uzur also mentioned that 50% of us should be Muslim. We should be Muslims. Some of us think it's just to pay 10%. No. I want us to always remember that when we say somebody is a Muslim, it means that person has gotten to the peak of Islamic practice. That is what it means. So in 2008, when we had our population in Nigeria as 32,000, Uzuru said 50% should be Muslim, and that's what we are working on. What does that mean? Those who goodness has become part of their life, those are the people we call Muslim, not because you pay 10%. Yes, 10% is what you pay to demonstrate higher level of financial sacrifice. But a Muslim is somebody who is firstly a Muslim, secondly is somebody who has faith, a mu'min, and now who added the act of goodness, is putting all the things he knows into practice. And this was actually a narration from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When someone came to him and asked him, Maan Islam, what is Islam? And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained Islam to him. Buniyya al-Islam ala hams. Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa iqam as-salat wa ita'i zakat wa sawm Ramadan wa hajj al-bayt. After that, he said, Sadaqta, you have said it right. So to be a Muslim, these are the things we will be looking for as the attributes of that Muslim. After that, they asked him, Maan Iman. So what is Iman thereafter? The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also narrated the 6 articles of faith. And Iman and true may not be lied. To have faith in Almighty Allah, His angel, His books, His prophet, and the takbir. He said Sadaqta. And the third one, he asked him, Maan al-Ihsan. What is the act of goodness? And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told him, Al-Ihsan an ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarahu fa in lam takun tarahu fa innahu yaraka. And that is who a Musi is. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the person with goodness is person who is acting as if he's seeing Allah in whatever he's doing. Because if he's not seeing Allah, he knows that Allah is seeing him. And that is a Musi. So Musi doesn't mean that because you pay only 10%. No. They are people of excellent moral conduct. So if we have 50% in a mosque that are good, do you think the other 50% can override them? No. Because courage is also an act of goodness. If somebody has done something that is not good, you have the courage to tell the person, Salam alaikum, please let us relax. That's not the right way to do it. Courageous people are people who are of act of goodness. It is good for us to understand this thing very well, so that we can walk in line with the directives of His holiness. May Almighty Allah make it easier for us. It is when we increase in the act of goodness that Nigeria can achieve financial independence. As that is the third assignment His holiness gave us. Because as it stands now, We know the father will always be the father, and all over the world, Zoo will make sure that things are going on right and well in every country. Ordinarily, one cannot imagine that Nigeria, as a Jamaat, is a country that is going to be subsidized financially. All the chanda we pay in Nigeria cannot pay the allowances of our missionaries alone. All of them put together. Those who are members of Shura, you know, and I think you gave the feedback. I did mention it, if you don't get Tarbiyah right, if you don't behave well, we cannot get Tabligh right, people will not join, and those who are joining, who are already there, even they will step aside. Therefore, the financial challenge is going to continue. So this is a time of evaluation. Now, what are we doing rightly? Then what are we not doing rightly that we need to correct? It is very embarrassing that oil, in fact, all resources, if you talk about oil, you talk about telecom, you talk about construction, everything is in Nigeria. Yet, we are not able as a German to be able to fund the workforce. That is not good enough. It will only be good when we all behave very well and we retain people who are in the Jamaat. There are a lot of people who are in various positions in Nigeria that you will not know that they are Ahmadi children. You will not know. So assuming they are within the Jamaat, we wouldn't have any financial independence challenge. So, and this is why I will implore each and every one of us to please pay attention to this workshop so that by the time we go back, we will be different species altogether. And finally, I also want to mention to us about the progress on the Minaret International University. Let us put the university in prayers. With the prayers of His Holiness, everything is going on fine. Please keep it in prayers so that Allah can make it continuously easier for us to start with the university. Work is going on right now at the site, and very soon we want to start with the admission of students into the university. Those who have paid, may Almighty Allah continue to bless you all. Those who are yet to pay, or those who have paid partly and not able to pay in full, may Allah make it easier for you to pay in full, and also make the university a source of success for us, both in Nigeria and globally. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. The next item on the agenda is the field lecture, which is growing the Jamaat road of Asarda. I have the pleasure of inviting Barrister M.B. Bandu, the National Tabligh Secretary, to please take the stage.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فلا الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين والذين آمنوا واتبعتهم ذريتهم بالإيمان respect Naib Amir, Finance and Admin, the respected General Secretary of the James of Nigeria, the respected Nigeria, all Amina and others, they are present. I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Did I say that the respected Mr. of the election? Yeah. And this is why we need to pay attention to these shots that I may be throwing, because my election will definitely center on questions. Asking us questions. Let me remind you of this before I go to my election. I'm a Nigerian 106 years. Right or wrong? And in 106 years, we have only succeeded in combating 65,000 Nigerians. Right or wrong? Meaning that each year, we have only succeeded in combating only 630 people. That is how much effort we have deployed as our government, those who have the best responsibility of reforming the world. He also mentioned something very important. That some of you here, yes, you, I'm not saying me now, some of you here, have your children ISIS and are hiding them from the Jamaat. They don't want them to be related with the Jamaat. Don't allow Ahmadiyya to disturb them. They are better than Ahmadiyya. In quote. If there is anything I'm scared about, it is becoming a nasty. Now I'm also an elder. A member of Nigeria. I think a lot about the elderly, especially their role in the community, and in this instance, Ahmadiyya community. Elders to me are a great asset and can also be a liability. They are people of wisdom and insightful experiences needed to inform our present and carve out a better future for the younger ones. The younger ones are to learn from the mistakes of the elders. Youth also learn the complexities of life from the elders. But elders are humans. They too are evolving and growing. I have recited a verse from Maan chapter 52, Surah 2. And this is one surah and the Prophet has chosen so jealously, especially during the morning prayer. Morning prayer is this. You will find that it is reported that when the Prophet wants to lead morning prayer, he recites Surah 2, Quran chapter 52. Verse 22 says, Verse 22 says, and those who believed and whose children, descendants, but Duriya is what the Quran used. So, descendants, their children, their children, down the line, follow them in faith. We will join them with their descendants. We will join them with their descendants. And we will not diminish, deprive from them anything of their deeds. Every person for what he can is retained. The person of the Father, said, you can only be truly called and sought aloud when you answer the call of the Imam of the age, the appointed one of God, the Prophet ﷺ and the Mahdi, and not just by name. There's no value in name. The Prophet Islam reported a case of a Jew who named his child Khalid. Khalid means everlasting. And he prides that the child will live everlasting. But by evening of that day, the child died. So there's no value in name. Just being called a Nasir does not make you a Nasir until you have acted according to how the Amira described. Who is a Nasir? Ansarullah literally translates as helpers of Allah. According to Ansarullah pledge, which we all chanted here, a Nasir is one who solemnly pledges that he shall endeavor throughout his life for the propagation, growth, and consolidation, strengthening of Islam and Ahmadiyyat, and shall stand guard in defense of the institution of Khilafah. He also shall not hesitate to offer any sacrifice, in the defense of Islam. He shall also exhort his children to always remain dedicated and devoted to the Khilafah. The pledge summed the following. 1. A Nasir must be a Mubalik, someone who invites to the faith, one who propagates. Allah says in the Quran, Man ahsana qawla mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan. Who is better in speech than one who invites to Allah. A Nasir must be a consolidator, one who does grow and sustain. You don't just give birth to these children for giving birth sake. You give birth to them, sustain them within the Jamaat. Majority of us give birth to children for our own benefit and not for the Jamaat. And that is why when they look back, they can't see anyone in the Jamaat. If you are here today and you are sitting in the mosque and you look back and you can't see any of the children there, I do not mean physical seeing. You can't see anyone that will sustain you there in the mosque. You are one of those who have refused to allow the Jamaat to grow. The Nasir must be a defender of Islam. Not one who talks negative of Islam or armchair critics. Whenever there is a policy from the headquarters, you will get back home and say, Oro Jama Itisumi. That is your first language, your first comment. And your children will look at you. They won't say anything because they know you. They know you are not sincere. You are just doing it. And you want them to be there. No, there is nothing you can say to keep them there. Nothing. You already told them. That's what you tell them. A Nasir must be one ready to offer any sacrifice. That is one who will stop at nothing. One ready to crawl on snow to take the bayah. A Nasir must also be ready to continually train his children with goodly exhortation on how to remain devoted and dedicated when he himself has equally demonstrated these traits amongst his peers and to the admiration of his children. How many of you have noticed that your children actually behave the way you are behaving? How many? We pay no attention seriously to what they do. I remember when we were very, very young. Those who can confirm what I'm saying are here. Growing up then, we know some members of Ansarullah, our fathers, in the mosque. We know where some people have chosen and they are sitting for students. You sit there, you are in trouble. One of our fathers of blessed memory has a very, very significant language. Yaharabaita Dina. We don't know the meaning. We don't even know where the language came from. But we imitated it. When we want to reproach anybody, Yaharabaita Dina. What it means, we don't know.
but it became a language identified with him. He has a corner, and that corner is where he sits every time. Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. That corner. Even if there are just 5 in the mosque, that is the corner he will maintain until they call a come up. Today, if he looked back then and couldn't see anybody occupying that corner, then he has just lived a lie without impact. At least somebody is occupying that corner. Is there any other way to grow the Jama'ah other than this? When you sit in the mosque and your children are there with you in the mosque, this is growing the Jama'ah. I remembered when we were young, I've narrated this. A good Nasir is knowledgeable. One of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ accepted Islam at the age of 52 and memorized the Quran before he died. You have been told this several times. How many has even made effort to know how to read the Quran, let alone memorizing it? You can't grow the Jamaat like this. It's only when your children see you making effort. Developing spiritually. I mentioned something yesterday that we are a spiritual organization and people must see us as such. If we do not keep to that model, then we'll lose it. Because every other thing is doing what you want to do now. You must do your own differently. And that is when you can be respected. The elders have time and they give unconditional love, kindness, patience, humor, comfort, lessons in life, and most importantly, guidance. Growing up in the presence of my grandmother was memorable. The elders are repository of knowledge, good morals. They are the role models for the younger generation. Through them, the youth learn to shape their lives. Are you one of these elders? Sacrifice for being a Nasir. The Uzu, Allah Ta'ala bin Nasir says, quoted the Prophet Sallallahu saying that those who pledge allegiance to him vow to seek forgiveness for their sins, establish virtue, and do their part in spreading the true message of Islam. The companions of the Holy Prophet of Islam used to vow to sacrifice their lives for the sake of Islam and God. They were prepared to bear any hardship for the sake of God. And they had removed themselves from any worldly desires. The father was asking his son, your mates are already building houses for their father. What are you doing? The 4 boys who killed one of their girlfriends for rituals. They want to build houses for their parents. This is a stark reality of what we have sown. Unfortunately, most parents today are not trained. And how do they train anyone? It's what you have that you can give. If you don't have it, you can't give it. His Holiness said that if this is the standard required of those who pledge allegiance, then those who are Ansarullah should analyze themselves and consider what their own standard should be in the light of this. Leading by example. His Holiness continued, quoting the Prophet ﷺ, who said that God requires actions. The Amir said he hoped that whatever we are going to say here or tell ourselves here or learn here will not just remain here, will be transformed into actions. If all we have been listening to, all we have been learning have been transformed into actions, we won't be this number. We won't be that number. We won't even have worries converting the entire nation, a nation of 208 million people. And Ahmadiyya is just 65,000. I think we should think about it very deeply. And the responsibility is on our shoulders as members of Majlis Ansarullah. His Holiness quoted the Prophet who said that one must practically follow the teachings of the Quran. One should ponder over the Holy Quran and act upon its commandments and abstain from that which it has forbidden. It is essential that one follows these teachings themselves before calling upon others to do the same. As such, one should not only spread the message through mere words. They should do so by presenting their own practical examples and high moral standards. It is with this in mind that we propagate the message of Islam. His Holiness again said that there are some youngsters who ask him how they can look up to the elders if the elders themselves do not set good examples. Baba ni lọ́wọ́ bọ́mọ ọkọ kó ẹrù jáde nílé ọkọ ẹ̀. No, the boy is just harassing the innocent girl for nothing. It's enough is enough. Ask yourself, if your own father-in-law has taken your wife away from you, where would that child be? The rate at which divorce is encouraged by members of Majlis Ansarullah, by elders of these younger ones, just coming up, is alarming. The tolerance they had, and why? Why are we having this experience? The parents are always cursing us. Mama fi gbogbo gba ṣépè fún wa ni. Ẹ wá pé wípé wo. Ìyá tí mo jẹ, ọmọ mi ò ní jẹ, ọmọ yẹn ò ní ṣoríire ká dáa. Kò ní wúlò láíláí. Because ìyà tó jẹ lè dá tó dà lónìí. No shortcut to success. You can never be successful if you have not gone through that path. It is a natural consequence. How a Nasir should act in the presence of his household. The Holy Prophet Muhammad said, be careful about what you say or do in the presence of your children, as children are quick to adopt your negative attitude than positive. A member of Majlis Ansarullah is deemed to be a father, a grandfather, and or a husband, under whom family members are to take instructions. The wife, mother, the children who might have themselves become fathers and mothers. His grandchildren, etc. He is to attend to their needs, to their respective needs, be it spiritual, emotional, or physical. His knowledge and experience is a repository reserved for generations. Today, how many of us are here can proudly look back and smile and say to himself, if I die today, I will die a happy man because I have, by the grace of God, been able to raise generation of Ahmadis that can fill the gap. How many? Growing up from home, my maternal grandfather was the Imam in Ondo Town, late Alhaji Solo Adedeji Agbegoroko. He was well versed with the Jama's tenets. In fact, he introduced the buyer to my father. My father's teacher, Maulana A.J.J. Bada, of blessed memory, was another role model. He was always handy to guide and provide answers to his many religious questions. How many of us today have not lost one or two of his children to other folks? How many? Sadly, indeed, is to have one's children embrace Christianity in his lifetime. I often like to make reference to this experience that I want to narrate, that unfortunately, I I know if I'm narrating, some people who know will know. I won't mention names. There was one man, while we were growing up, he's always very critical of anything the Jamaat would do. And he's so ambitious to become a leader. Very, very. There was one time we went to IBC. His son misbehaved. He was disciplined there. When he returned home, my father being the imam also brought them, all of those children, before the Jamaat and disciplined them. The man flared up and said, no way. It won't happen. Right before the child, he threw tantrum. And everybody was just like, I like you to do. I like you to do is enough. Not one single child today remains in the Jamaat. So continue to sow it. If I pray that you don't grow such a thing, because that is not the way to grow in Jamaat. Duties of Ansarullah in growing the Jamaat. I have talked about our responsibilities, especially as fathers at home, who is answerable to Allah over all affairs. The Holy Prophet Muhammad said, "Kulukum ra'in wa kulukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." You are all shepherds, and you shall all be questioned or called to account for your sheep. The excuses we give to people who queried us on some issues will not be tenable before Allah. Our duties as members of Ansarullah include: 1. To be honest and sincere with Allah and with fellow human. To proclaim oneness of Allah and to invite people towards Him. To serve the cause of truth and be peaceful and peaceful Islam to the best of our abilities. To teach the true and Christian teachings of Islam. To assess ourselves. To see if we personally are following the true teachings of Islam. I may mention that you should, from time to time, analyze yourself to see whether you are actually demonstrating what you preach. To inculcate Islam's true teaching into our daily lives, to lead by our positive examples, to demonstrate to the world the purity and nobility of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to consistently pray for the growth of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. How many of us do this? Conclusion. Today, there is a huge disconnect between members of Majlis Ansarullah and the youth, the Khudam. We as fathers, who are supposed to be responsible for their moral and spiritual well-being, have left this post to them to grapple with. Hence, the disconnection from the path of guidance. It is our duty to remind ourselves of how fortunate we are for our ancestors to have seen the guidance and accepted the promises of Islam and the Mahdi. What are we going to bequeath to our children and their children? The Uzur again ask. You must truly focus upon connecting each other. You should endeavor to forge such a close bond that it is as if they are all part of one body. It is the duty of the members of Majlis Ansarullah that they oversee their homes. They should see if their own family members are observing obligatory prayer regularly. On the 7th of February 2022, during the annual National Ijtima of Majlis Ansarullah the Gambia, the Amir, Fadlullah Trawali, said, "We as elders, we should remember that we are here today, but tomorrow we will not be around, and the younger ones will be the ones who we will leave behind us. For that reason, every Nasir should make sure that he trains his children in the best possible manner, so that no matter what happens tomorrow, these children will always be firm on their faith and believe in the religion of Islam, and will always be active members as well. We should always encourage our children to be offering the 5 daily prayers regularly without fail. We should train and encourage our children to be active in the reading of the Quran, train them to be generous and always strive in the cause of their religion with their wealth and sacrifice. We should always be active in encouraging our children to learn and acquire knowledge to the maximum level. We should educate our children about Khilafah and the institution of Khilafah so that they can realize the blessing bestowed upon them by Almighty Allah. Part of the shots. Not praying regularly, paying our dues adequately and as required will not grow the Jamaat. Discussing Jamaat's affairs negatively at home will not grow the Jamaat. Inactive participation of our children in their respective youth organizations, Atfal, Nasra, AMSA, etc., will not grow the Jamaat. We have had parents. When I was in Sokoto as a student, AMSA members were holding meetings in those days, and Nasir, an elder, came to us in the mosque and said, disperse. And I asked him, sir, yes, they say our intermingling is causing some problem. But if we have gone outside the mosque to intermingle, the moment we separate from the mosque now, we're going to reconverge elsewhere and intermingle. Now we are before you, elders, you are dispersing us. I told him, look, my father is there in Ekare, and I'm here in Sokoto. He's comfortable that Omoyo is in school, and he's going to identify with the Jamaat. But your own children, can you do that? Can you boast of that over them? Your children will go for 1 year service, 1 full year service, will not even know where the Jamaat exists, will not even trace, and you will not even ask. Oh, he got a job in Chevron. Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. Students in foreign schools, diaspora, should be made to attend actively involved in Jamaat's function. Failure to do this will not grow the Jamaat. Giving out our daughters in marriage to non-Ahmadis will never grow the Jamaat. Our children who on account of job travel to other parts of the country and are not mandated to seek the Jamaat and be active will not grow the Jamaat. Right. Fighting on trivial, America has continuously emphasized this, fighting on trivial and insignificant things amongst ourselves will never grow the Jamaat. It is my prayer that Allah enable us to sustain our homes, rebuild them for future of Ahmadiyyat. May Allah accept our innermost prayer and respect our strange children. May Allah return them, and in respect of our strange children, may Allah return them to the path of the truth. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We thank the National Tabligh Secretary, Barrister M.B. Badru, for his lecture on growing the Jamaat, the role of Ansarullah. I believe we will have picked a lot of examples from what he said. It was because I have had the privilege of going through his paper that I disagree with him that I have delivered his lecture. All the stories he told about Ondo, I never mentioned any one of them. And they are very inspiring. And he also reminded us of Baba A.J. Father. I never mentioned Baba's name. Barakallahu lakum. May Allah accept all we are doing as an act of ibadah for us. We will move to the next lecture, and that is mental health in elders. This lecture I also want us to listen very carefully. Because the way we are living nowadays, somebody will be tempted to ask a question, are you okay at all?
I'll do a shit alpha. I'll do a shit alpha. I'll do a
And
shit
I don't
alpha.
really honestly think
What if you say alpha?
there are
Alpha.
no mental health issues than we thought about. I think there are much more mental challenges than we can think of. So please let us listen to Brother Tijani, who will be talking to us on mental health in elders. Brother Tijani Satisfuna.
Conference mic. Conference mic.
Brother Mudathir Tijani, where is he? His doctor is somewhere around. Okay, Dr. Taufik Sani. Dr. Taufik Sani, please go through the paper for us. We know you understand his language. Okay.
واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله اما بعد اعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وبارك وسلم انك حميد مجيد السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The topic before me that I will be delivering on behalf of Brother Tijani M.O., who is an Assistant Director of Nursing Services at the Psychiatry Hospital at Abeokuta, to be on mental health in the elderly. As a way of definition, mental health is the total health. Because without mental health, one cannot be completely healthy. In fact, it is the absence of mental health that mental illness can occur. Therefore, it is essential we understand what mental illness entails and try as much as possible to prevent it in order to promote and sustain our mental health. As it is said, mental health is an aspect of human health because health is defined as a state of psychological, mental, physical, and social well-being. However, if there is any mental illness, even the physical, the social, and psychological well-being will be meaningless. We have all seen people display mental illnesses in one way or the other, and we can agree that without good mental health, one cannot actually be called a human. Therefore, to really understand this topic, it is important that we define some key words. And these words are number 1, health, number 2, mental health, number 3, mental illness, and number 4, who are the elderly. Health. Health, according to WHO, is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. Our own belief is that it's not the absence of disease that we call health. Of course, with the absence of disease, we must be in a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. On the other hand, mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively, and is able to make a contribution to his community. So when an individual is in a state of well-being, can actually be useful to himself by realizing who he is, can cope with the stress of life, and is also productive to himself and his community. That's what we say that individual is of good mental health. As it is believed that most mental illnesses are due to stress. So our ability to cope with stress also determines how mentally we are. Mental illnesses. Mental illnesses are adaptive responses to stressors from the internal or external environment, evidenced by thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are incongruent with the local and cultural norms and interfere with individual social adaptation and physical functioning. When an individual reacted in an abnormal way to stress, and that individual has a change in thought, a change in feeling, a change in behavior, in such a way that these things are incongruent with the local and cultural norms. For example, now, in our culture, when we are going out with this way, if I go to this place, the Bible says there was a boxer and a singlet, something was wrong with me. In some other environment, I can accept it. But in our own culture, what of one culture that was a director with a boxer and a singlet? It's not that we like our culture, such person cannot be said to be mentally healthy. So when we exhibit behaviors, we exhibit characters, we exhibit feelings that are not in line with our environment, cultural belief, and are not in line with the norms of our environment, such an individual cannot be said to be mentally okay. The elderly. Elderly, according to WHO definition, is an individual who is 60 years and above. And they are studied at different grades of elderly. We have the elderly who are 60 years to 75 years. We have the old who are 76 years to 90 years. And we have the very old who are above 90 years. People like this are not too common in Nigeria. Because in that expectancy of male individuals in Nigeria is around 49 years, 50 years. And for females around 54 years. So when somebody is above 55 years in Nigeria, that person has actually done well in terms of our life expectancy because of a lot of stress that we actually face in our life. Component of mental health. The component of mental health are as follows. Number one, we have what we call the emotional well-being. And this includes being happy, having interest in life, and satisfaction. These are very, very important because somebody can be rich and may not be satisfied. So for someone to have an emotional well-being, that person must be happy with himself. You will see some people who are shoemakers and they will be drumming their shoemaker boss and they will be enjoying themselves and they tell you to come and sew your shoe. That's happiness. And some people who have all the riches in the world, they will still be sad. So being happy is a form of emotional stability and emotional well-being. Also having interest in life. One should not be planning to die. If someone is planning to die, then that person has lost hope in life. Even in the worst of all issues, as being claimed by those who are Islam, we should still believe that the future will be bright. That's why some of us are not living in Nigeria. Because we believe Nigeria will still be great. So people are blessed. They've lost hope in Nigeria. They've gone to Canada, they've gone to UK, they believe this country can never be great. But some of us still believe that we will stay behind. It will still be good, it will still be great one day. We hope that our prayer is accepted and the Almighty Allah makes Nigeria great. So we must not lose hope in life, and we must not lose hope in our country too. Also satisfaction with whatever we are, we must be satisfied. Some people earn 30,000 naira salary, minimum wage, and they are satisfied. And some people still earn 1 million naira and they are not satisfied. Somebody who has 50,000 naira, who does not have any form of illness, might be satisfied. But if one earn 1 million naira in a job per month, and that person has kidney problem, and has to go to dialysis 3-4 times in a month, another person will still not be satisfied with the kind of earning that person is getting. So we must balance what our problems are and the finances that Allah has given us to actually solve the problem, to also be satisfied with whatever we do. What we call psychological well-being, and this is defined as having good relationship with others, being good at managing the responsibility of daily life, like most part of our own personality. One of the things that the Ahmadiyya community is training us to be psychologically upright is this kind of gathering. There is no way you will be mad. When you come to Itima, you come to Jalsa, you learn how to relate with people. You learn how to relate well with people. Many people are very little and they are sitting in a dusty environment. We will sleep in ordinary mattresses, there will be no bed at times, but we'll still be able to manage that kind of life. It's a good psychological well-being because we're able to relate with what is happening around us at that point in time. So the ability to relate well with people and also be responsible in life, responsible in managing our personal affairs, responsible in managing our home, responsible in managing our wives, responsible in managing our children is also a form of psychological well-being. In fact, when people are not doing well at home, they are beating their wives, they are not having relationship with their wives, they cannot train their children. It's a form of some mental disorder in home. If you want to manage, we say psychological disorder, but it's still part of mental disorder. Because as a good father, we should be able to manage our wife, no matter how bad that person is. If you have seen her, you have been able to marry her, then you must be able to manage her. Whether you will beg her, we do tell people that even if you consent for your wife inside your room, once you're doing well outside, and people are seeing you, both of you going well together, they don't know what to do inside you. They will say you have a happy home. Whether you put maybe oil on her head in the morning, please don't cause para. Nobody cares. So our ability to also manage our home, manage our wife. Some children, you have to cane them before they listen to you. But some of them, if you call them and see them, should you do something like this? Should they hear outside that my own son is doing this? That message alone is enough for some children. For some, you must beat them. Beat them very, very well. So you must be able to also study your children. Know those who to beat, know those who not to beat. Know when to beat and when not to beat. The ability to do that is also a form of psychological well-being. Then what's what we call social well-being? It refers to positive functioning, involving having something to contribute to the society, feeling part of the community, believing in the society, to become a greater place for people to live, and the way society also works makes sense to them. Part of social well-being is our ability to also manage our country. We are head of local government, we are managers in our various companies, government parastatals, governors. Our ability to manage effectively that terrain that we have been given to by Almighty Allah is also what we call social well-being. So when you see some governors misbehaving, or some senators misbehaving, or some presidents, or some local government chairman, and people recommend mental health examination for them, they are not exaggerating things. So people actually need to go to mental health clinic to actually have things done. Because if you are asked to manage a state, and you are giving money from Abuja as your allocation for the month, and you cannot pay salary for no reason, you cannot construct road, you cannot do things, just like that you have the money. You are not working for it, the money will come. You generate idea, just manage the money to serve your people, and you cannot do that. It's a social illness, and it's almost psychological and mental disease. So our ability to also manage things also matter. Also as fathers at home, if you collect salary, we know there's a responsibility to pay for our house rent, pay our children's school fees, feed our house. When somebody collects salary and you go to bar to go and drink beer, and you not give money to your wife at home, it's a mental disorder. When you collect salary, your wife is not eating, you are not dropping money at home, you are not feeding your children, you are not paying their school fees, you are not doing what you do for them. You now wait to sit down in one corner to go and drink, or you are wasting money to buy food and buy cars. When people cannot eat basic things of life, then that person is not socially well. That person needs counseling and maybe psychotherapy to get out of such mental illness. There are positive mental health. Positive mental health, as defined by World Health Organization, is a state of well-being where an individual realizes his own potential. You must know our potential. While I was in the medical school, we read a lot. But people know me, I don't read in the library. Library is too serious for my life. I don't read in the library. And I don't read more than 1 hour per time. Except you give me agbado or I have biscuit to eat. I can't read beyond 1 hour. I won't assimilate again. And it's a waste of time when you read for 3 hours and you concentrate for 1 hour. Why I have a friend, an Amadi brother, we live together. He can read from 9 p.m. after Isha. It's only when he wants to pray tahajjud that he will leave, go and pray and come back to that reading. I'll be sleeping and waking up, and left. And we're in the same class. I will read my own with my potential. He will read his own with his own. I'm all passed. And we are all doctors today. It shows that if I have read beyond the time my capacity can carry, there are people who break down at school, they are students, they will read too much and they will say they have mental illness because they have read beyond their capacity. And in fact, to be able to recognize its capability. And when you see leaders in the Dhamma too, they are different from each other. Some leaders are very active leaders. Some leaders are strategic leaders. They just sit down, they give policy, and you see things working. So everybody should be able to recognize its capability in dealing with people. We also know our work productivity. We should be productive work-wise. In our workplace of work, in whatever we do, we should be productive. And lastly, we should be able to cope with normal stress of life. That we are here for 3 days, it's a normal stress of life. That we go to work in the morning, we close at 4, it's a normal stress of life. This is why now say, I don't want problem, I don't want work, I don't want to work. I just want to sit down at home. That person has some mental problem. You don't want to work in the sun. You don't want to work in the rain. You don't want to work at all. That's mental illness. You must be able to cope with normal stress of life. You should be able to pray 5 times daily. Praying 5 times daily is not something too difficult. Anybody can do it. 4 raka, 2 raka, 4 raka, 4 raka. Somebody now say, I don't want stress, I can't pray. That person has mental illness because it's a normal activity of life that somebody should be able to cope with. Also, that person will be able to also make positive changes in our society. That will stay in Nigeria, contribute to the greatness of Nigeria. It's also a way of mental illness. It is cowardness for somebody to leave Nigeria and go to UK where some people develop. I'm not saying you cannot travel out to go and learn, to go and acquire skill. But to me, it is cowardice for us to leave Nigeria. Some people built UK, some people built US, some people built Germany. We're not living our own country because it is bad. To go to work as a place that has already been built is also a form of weakness in one way. So we want to be able to also stay in our country, to build our country, to show that we are mentally alright in Nigeria. Mental and psychological well-being encompasses the way one feels about oneself, but also the way one deals with external situation and quality of our relationship. Positive mental health is not simply the absence of mental issues, such as depression, anxiety, but being mentally healthy is predominantly about the presence of positive characters, such as feeling of purpose, contentment, maintaining fulfillment relationship, and fulfilling relationship, and participating in life to the fullest. When they talk about people doing Yahoo, people doing money ritual, frankly speaking, it's a mental illness. For you not to believe in yourself that will be great, to the extent of going to cut somebody's head to do ritual, it's not normally kufri. It's also a form of mental disorder. We want to believe in ourselves. So maybe we have to go and dupe some people. They have duped me before. They just took 40-something thousand, twice from my account. I wanted to buy fuel, and they said there is no money in my ATM, and they sold the fuel, and I take they carried my money. I was cursing that person, until the bank helped me retrieve my money. This one I say he does Yahoo, that is duping the Igbo man, that is making his or her own money. And that person forward that the Igbo man will curse him, or the Igbo man. So there anything that we do to inflict hardship on other people, or because we believe that we don't have capacity to do, it's also a form of mental illness. And a lot of people are mentally deranged in Nigeria. Even people who work in offices must embezzle. So if you embezzle somebody's money, it's a mental disorder. You have collected your own salary. You will not pay the money of people who are earning small salary just because we want to embezzle. It's a form of mental illness. And that's where we have found ourselves in this country. Other features of positive mental health include feeling positive about life, being optimistic, being happy, being lovely and compassionate, being satisfied and having joy. Goal setting, you set goal, you have confidence in each situation, you avoid self-blame, and you also having good self-esteem, anxiety. Reason why positive mental health is important. It's important because the person will enjoy all the activities he wants to participate in. It does not mean the person will never be sad or go through emotional challenges once in a while. But wherever condition he finds himself, he'll be happy, and that's what Islam taught us. However, those with positive mental health will be able to bounce back more easily from these experiences. This is called mental resistance. Mental resistance means individuals have the tools to cope with adversity trauma, and stress. Of course, once in a while, you have adverse conditions happening. You can do exam and fail. You can say go without achieving them. But an individual who has positive mental health, to be able to cry for some period and bounce back, and believe that's the way Allah wants it, and come back to the reality of life and keep moving without committing suicide or killing himself. Ways to foster positive mental health and adopt a more positive mental attitude. They include take care of our physical needs, make time for social connection. That we have come here. Some of us have been working from Monday to Friday, stressed up. That we are here, we will meet brothers who have met for a long time, we will play, we will listen to sermon, we also relax ourselves. It's a form of actually enjoying. That's why you won't see Ahmadis breaking down to stress. Because even if you work from Monday to Friday, you must go to one program on weekend. And those programs are a way of relaxing. Because we are not doing any mental work in terms of our job here. We are listening to lectures, hearing sermon, relating within ourselves. There are things that actually helps to build mental health. Also physical exercise, also help positive mental health. And we also need to use words to build our mental health. You know, in Yoruba land and in religion, we believe that things will still be good. Even at 90, some people still believe they will be rich. When they may die at 91. There is that hope that religion give us. Even when you are poor at 90, you still have to go and and that person is meant to die at 91. But we still keep hope. And that's a way of making us mentally balanced. Believing that tomorrow can still be great and tomorrow can still be good. Concept of positive mental health, their feeling of purpose and contentment, maintaining fulfilling relationship, feeling positive about life, goal setting, having confidence, which I've mentioned that. Characteristics of mental health in a healthy individual. How do you know somebody has a good mental health? Having positive self-esteem and self-confidence. Ability to maintain a balance between positive and negative emotion. The fact that things are not going well at work does not mean that you come and fight your wife at home. So people will carry the burden of work to home. Burden of work should be at work, home should be at home. In fact, they know me. Once I leave Ekiti, I don't remember medicine again. I don't remember the hospital again. I do the remote work, I raise my family, I go and carry my body back when I get to work. So when you are leaving work, drop your burden at work. Get home, relate well with your wife and children. Don't put the burden of your work on them again at home. That's the way to show that we have good character. Also having respect for self and others, feeling comfortable with other people, ability to master one environment, accepting disappointment without putting blame on anybody, ability to love and be loved, and ability to show that we are not overwhelmed by emotion, by anger, by love, by jealousy, by guilt and anxiety. It's also a show of good mental health. When some people fall in love, they fall in love totally. It's also not good. So that when you are disappointed, you not cry too much. So when we love, don't let us love too much. And if we want to dislike, don't dislike too much. Whatever we do, let us regulate it. So that when disappointment comes, we will not kill ourselves and will not go and commit suicide. Some people are committed suicide because they cannot become doctors. And if we rate the people who are rich in this Damat, doctors are not there. Look at the people who are rich in this Damat now. You can see them now. How many of them are doctors? But somebody who go and commit suicide because he cannot become a doctor. When that guy can go and do something else in life, and Allah will bless it. So even whatever we want to do, don't let us attach too much love, so that when those things don't work, we do not get disappointed. Possibility of mental illness in elderly people. What are the mental illness that we can see in elderly people? Dementia is there. Dementia is loss of memory. As we grow, it can affect anybody. Our memory will start going down. We can start from having long-time memory loss. Some people will start losing what they have done in the past. Some people can be short-term memory. It can happen to anybody due to degeneration of the nerves in the brain. That's because of dementia. So it is common in an elderly person. So when you have an elderly person and he's forgetting things, don't abuse him or her. Don't maltreat him or her. That's a stage in life that anybody can get to if we live old. Depression can also come in our homes now. When we are young, you have wives, you have children, the home is bubbling. A time will come when the children will go to the university. They will graduate, they will get married. You now remain you and your wife alone at home. And if unfortunately the two person now lose, one of the spouse now die, you now remain that single person. So depression can come in, loneliness can come in. Some people, because they retired from work, loneliness can actually come in. Somebody that has been very active, is now retired. The day I left a particular, I used to be president of our association at work. The day I handed over for 2 months, I wasn't balanced. I had nothing to do in the hospital. In those days, I would go and meet CMD, be doing meeting, doing everything. So for the first 2 months, I would just get to work, do my normal work, nothing to do extra. I would not be feeling like I want to do something, but there's nothing to do. So I have to mentally bring myself up, okay, that era is over, this is a new era. Some people are started, they'll be serving the Jamaat, they'll be going, last week, about 2 weeks ago, no, last week, Sada was in Oshogo. This weekend, Sada is in Ilaro. So maybe next week, Sada will be somewhere. A time will go when Sada will cease to be Sada. It will not be this weekend, there is nowhere to go. Another weekend, there is nowhere to go. So one must be able to cope with the new trend that, okay, now, how do I now manage my time? Okay, let me do this to take that space, let me do this to take that space. Also, anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder actually comes when people have illnesses, especially when people have cancer. And we tell them that it's not curable. Every day it's like, will I die today? Will I die today? Will I die today? Because as some people also want to retire, can give them anxiety. Elderly people. I will leave this office one day. I will leave this office one day. How do I cope? Which money do I spend? Those things can actually bring anxiety in elderly people. And fact that there are children who are not doing well too, can also bring anxiety. Also, we have schizophrenic, especially paranoid type. Schizophrenic is a type of psychiatric disorder where people can become violent. Because some elderly people, because then they are angry, they are not happy with themselves. If you do anything bad, they will shout on you. They will start behaving like in a violent manner. It's also a form of disease that can happen in elderly. I'll try to explain dementia. I'll just talk about the causes. I don't waste time. It can be hereditary. If someone's father has dementia, one can also have dementia. Biochemical changes, hormonal changes in the body can cause it. Severe head injury, maybe an elderly people went to the bathroom to bathe, that person now fall down, hit the head or something, can cause dementia. That's how you usually tell elderly, once you are above 60, don't live in the upstairs again. If you used to live in the upstairs, our landlord, come down. And come and live downstairs so that you don't fall down. If our toilets, our bathroom are tight, let us change the tile if it is too slippery. In our bathroom as an elderly person, in our sitting room, we must have railings that we can hold on to if we want to fall down. If you go to good homes built for the elder, in their bathroom there are railings, so that if you want to sleep, you can quickly hold on to instead of falling down and hitting your head or something. As we grow old, we must change the orientation of where we stay to be able to cope with that new way of life. Sign of dementia is forgetting things easily, cognitive things are reduced. We talk about the stages of dementia. We can read that one in our books. There are different stages. And prevention is it's a iterative process, and it has no cure. The older you grow, the more the brain cells will degenerate, and the more the dementia is. We just need to manage it. We have people around us who can talk to us, people who will live with us the way we have. And when we go to the hospital, there are some drugs that can be given to us to just reduce the rate at which that dementia will occur, and maybe you can live a better life. Also, depression, of course, I've talked about the causes of depression in the environment. It's not that statistically, 50% of adults suffer from one depression or the other. 50%. Because at adulthood, our salary might have gone down, we are now earning pension, our children is no more at home, some children are not even doing well and all that. So that can cause depression. So 50% of elderly people might be depressed and must do something to bring them out of depression. That's why gathering like this will take us out of depression. You see people, they greet you, you greet them, you remember old times that you have spent when you are young and all that. There are ways to keep us out of depression. Also, depression is also a leading cause of disability worldwide, and it's a major contribution to disease burden. When we are depressed, a lot of things will start happening to us. We won't go out again, we start having sedentary lifestyle, we start gaining weight, hypertension will set in, other diseases can also set in if we have depression. It affects women more than men. We said it in the morning. It affects women more than men. Therefore, we must take care of the mental health of our wives and of our female mothers. Also, depression can lead to suicide. When people are depressed, they lose taste about everything in life. They just want to die. Let me just leave this sinful word. Who says the word is sinful? It is when you want to die that I will say, anybody is the president of Nigeria, will you say this body is sinful? The body is not sinful if you are doing well. It's only when depression that I now say, listen, let me just leave this sinful word. There is no word that is sinful or not sinful. It is when depression comes that people start thinking in that manner. There are also types of depression. We have major depression that lasts more than 2 weeks. We have persistent depression that the mood will be coming more than 2 years. That person is just having change in mood and all that. We have medication in depression disorder that is drug related. For example, people take alcohol, painkiller and all that. And also have depression disorder due to medical condition. the depression that is related to physical illnesses, heart disease. When some people are sick, they cannot cope with it. Somebody who has been going around used to be very active. That person now have eye impairment, cannot go out again. It will cause depression. Somebody who has been going around now has knee problems, cannot walk anymore. Depression can come in. So those are depression that is related to disease condition. Causes of depression, family history is a cause. Illnesses and other issues that I've mentioned is a cause. Drug can also be a cause of depression. Personality is different. Some people, when they are dying, I managed a woman before. She delivered and she has a cervical laceration. She was bleeding. We were trying to suture, she was bleeding. And as she was dying, because she was actually dying, he said, I shall not die. She kept on saying that. And at the point in time, our driver had to go and donate blood for her. And we gave her 2 pints of blood and she survived. But some people, we will tell you, don't get mad para you. Don't stress yourself. Some people just lose hope easily. But why some people are even dying, they keep hope that they will not die. And it helps a lot. They will not die. One day will just come from somewhere and that person will also survive. So personality to also determine how we break down to have depression. And also body chemistry. Our body chemistry is also a factor. Other causes of depression are loss of job, stress at work, isolation, going through divorce, grieving a loved one, and chronic illness. What are the signs of depression? They are withdrawal from the family. When you see somebody that doesn't want to talk to anybody again, he just want to remain in his room, talking to himself, thinking about life, that's depression setting in. Fatigue. When you get tired too easily, with minimal work you are tired. Apart from other health conditions, it's also a sign of depression. Change in sleeping pattern. When you are sleeping too much or you are not sleeping again, it is a sign of depression. Change in appetite. When you are eating too much or you are not eating again, it is a sign of depression. Anger and irritability. When you become unnecessarily angry, that's when I tell husband, when you see your wife get unnecessarily angry, you must also not think that she's a bad person. Try to look at what is causing her trouble. You might be passing through a depression. Some people may not be happy. It might be because you are not doing well with her, or the children are not doing well, or she's lacking something. That might make her behave irritable and be very violent, or show a form of anger. We must look at the cause and try to solve it. Persistent sadness. Somebody should not be sad at all times. If there is persistent sadness, even when you are eating, you are sad. When you don't have anything to eat, you are still sad. You are not happy. It is a sign of depression. Trouble concentration. Some people just like wahala. It is where there is trouble that they will go and work. It's a sign of depression. And suicidal ideation. When somebody start thinking that he might pull up with a problem, but you try now, it's a sign of depression. Even at 90s, one should not be planning to die. But when someone start thinking that depression is setting in. Treatment, self-help. One should be able to show regular exercise, getting enough sleep, spending time with loved ones. That's why for us who have elderly people, we must be going to visit them. When they see their loved ones, they get out of depression, they are happy and all that. That's why Islam has also said that for widow and widower, they should go and remarry. Because if you are alone, depression will set in. But if you have a new companion, that person will boost your morale, that person will make you happy and take you out of the depression that you may want to have. Counseling too will help. You can go and meet mental health experts who will talk to us, who will give us counseling and be able to take us out of our depression. Then there are those that also work for depression. We call them antidepressants. There are many. They can also be prescribed for us. The last thing that, the other that we talk about is anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder is a cause of fear and worry and apprehension, or dread that are excessive or disproportionate. One should not just be fearful anyhow. If some people here now, they will just shake like this. It's a form of anxiety. We can be afraid if you hear a very loud noise, you don't imagine something to happen, but it should not be happening at all times. Ordinary sounds, some people are afraid already. It's anxiety. And it said that about 10 to 20% of older population may suffer from this. There are many types. We have specific phobia. Those are the people who have phobia. Like you have some people cannot see cockroach, they will run away. Some people cannot see rat, they will run away. They have phobia. That's phobia. It's normal, but it should not be too excessive. One should not see cockroach and then start running, something is happening. That's too much anxiety. Also, we have social phobia. Some people don't like social gathering. When there are people, they feel shy somehow. It's phobia. Some people cannot address the congregation. They will just be feeling shy. They won't be able to talk, but it should not be too excessive too. We have generalized anxiety disorder. Somebody is just afraid unnecessarily. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Some people, they've had trauma before. For example, maybe you have gone to Maiduguri. You've heard the voice of bomb before. If you hear banger, you will run. Because it is a post-traumatic, it's because of the trauma you have experienced over there that's now affecting the behavior of the person now. And we have what we call obsessive-compulsive disorder. In obsessive-compulsive disorder, you just want to be sure of things at all costs. So people, they will have locked their car, they will go again. He will go again. Why? Maybe it is this car that you want to lock. They must make sure, they will not be compelled to be doing one thing and be sure that thing has been done perfectly. And also have what we call panic disorder. So people are just afraid unnecessarily. What can be the cause of anxiety disorder? Extreme stress can be a cause. Family history of anxiety can be a cause. Alcohol intake, caffeine and drug intake can be a cause. Neurodegenerative disorder in the brain can bring the anxiety. Bereavement too, and complicated grief can also bring anxiety disorder. And signs are the person will be sweating unnecessarily, trembling unnecessarily. They have to be breathing very, very fast. There will be feeling of fearness, nervous, and the person may be restless. There will be rapid breathing. The person will be feeling weak, and the person can be having gastroenteritis disorder. That person can be vomiting unnecessarily, going to toilet. You know, if you want to do exam and the exam is stopped, you can go to toilet 20 times or go urinate 20 times. It's a form of anxiety. But that one is associated with exam. But when there is nothing that is making you afraid and you are going to toilet too much out of fear, going to toilet to urinate too much out of fear, there's something is wrong. Treatment is by drug, psychotherapy, and anti-anxiety drugs. Then the last one is schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a form of common mental illness. That one is like a core mental illness. And it is characterized by faulty perception and reality sense, disharmony, inappropriate thinking, and feeling split and often hallucination and delusion. In schizophrenia, apart from the characteristics that we have said, that person will also be feeling hallucination and delusion. Hallucination is when you are hearing voices or you are seeing things. Some people will say they are hearing voices, and if you look around, there is nobody talking to them. Some people will be seeing things that doesn't exist. It is a form of, we have auditory hallucination, visual hallucination, and all that. And there is also delusion. Some people might say that if you have gone to psychiatric hospital, I just finished speaking with Obasanjo now. What somebody saying it was Obasanjo tenure, and he was in the ward with us, and then just finished speaking with Obasanjo. It's delusion. What you cannot achieve, what doesn't exist, and you start claiming that it is existing. If somebody says you are in Abuja here, it is delusion. We are in Ilaro, for God's sake. Anybody is insisting that this is Abuja, say Jasa guy in Abuja, there is delusion. If Jasa guy in Ilaro, what you be able to be sure of where he is. There are 4 main types of schizophrenia. We have simple one, we have catatonic one. That's when the person is violent, the person is restless. If you see some mad people, they are always active, moving around. It's a form of catatonic schizophrenia. We have the epiphrenic schizophrenia, and we have the paranoid schizophrenia. In the paranoid one, is the most chronic of all mental illnesses and can affect people who are age 50 and above. What are the causes? Hereditary is a cause. The fact that you inherit it from our family history. Morbid personality is a cause. Biochemical factors or change in chemicals in the body is a cause. Early childhood upbringing is a cause. Some people have been exposed to some difficulties in their early life. Some people have been maltreated in their early life. Maybe they are abused or they be over-pampered. Both of them can cause schizophrenia. When you are over-pampered, that's when the person will go and be buying cocaine and be taking those that person should not take. And some people have been abused while they are young. That can also cause schizophrenia in future. Physique or body build. Some people, because of the way they appear, people will make jest of them, people will look down on them, and that may make them develop schizophrenia. So the economic factor is a common cause. When people don't have money, they misbehave a lot. Now when people are misbehaving, give them money. That is likely that they will first calm down. If your wife is shouting on you at home, transfer money to her account, see what will happen. See what will happen. It will solve a lot of problems. So socioeconomic problem is one of the problems that will cause schizophrenia. Psychological stress, such as loss of loved ones, disappointment, property loss, can also be a cause of schizophrenia. Also head injury, cerebral malaria, and meningitis can also be a cause of schizophrenia. There was a brother, that brother may be here, he was our colleague at that time. The son was sick, and the son was displaying some form of mental illness. And he brought him to FMC Abeokuta. It was a house officer in FMC Abeokuta that year, maybe 2010. And I said, we are taking this child to pediatric department too. We allow them to do anything. Say, they can't do anything, no. They must not give him injection, no. That thing used to happen in their household. And if they give injection, that's the end. I said, if you don't want them to give injection, we won't go to that department too.
Once he enters there, you cannot do anything. He said he doesn't want injection. He said he'll go and do something at home. I mean, I don't argue with people. I said, go and do that thing at home. But brother, if it doesn't work in 2-3 days, that thing is not working. Come back. And it was true. He went after 3 days, he came back. Lo and behold, that guy was having severe malaria. Malaria has entered the brain. And with ordinary anti-malaria and infusion, the guy started behaving well. The boy is a member of my Sudan now. He's doing well. And if he has not been taken, malaria will have pushed that boy to mental illness. So malaria, meningitis can actually cause mental illness. What are the signs of schizophrenia? Associated disturbance. When people are just disturbing, they do illegal things, they are violent, cut people's head, go and fight everywhere in the environment, causing trouble is a it's a sign of schizophrenia. Affective incongruity, emotional response to things may be inappropriate. If they slap you, you naturally abuse the person or slap back. But when they slap you and you go and take quarters to cut somebody's head, it's schizophrenia. With ordinary slap, you are cutting them. It's not appropriate now. What Islam taught us, if they slap you, you either leave the person or slap in that way, in that magnitude that he used to slap you. That's all you can do. But if you do inappropriate reaction to a particular action, that is, if your wife did not cook well for you, and you come to that community and you want to divorce, that's mental illness. Because of poor cooking, you want to divorce a woman. It's not, you know when some people say something, you just look at it and say, just shake your head. Because some reactions are inappropriate compared to the cause of the action. Ambivalence. Schizophrenic patient usually harbors attitude which idea towards giving an object, person or situation. There are ways we harbor our attitudinal wish towards something. It's a form of schizophrenia. Autism too. Being moody, it affects children a lot. Being moody, being self-centered, everything just be around you. It's a form of, when you see people, they've been occupying a post in Nigeria for 16 years. They still want to go again. It's a sign of mental illness. So you alone, you want to be there. You are not even looking at all of us. You want to be there for a long time. Then there is something wrong. It's a form of autism. Being self-centered is also not good. Other things that we will see, that we will see, include delusion, illusion, irrational folk, ideas of reference, negativism, automatism, depersonalization, mammarism, impulsiveness, hallucination, and many other things are also a sign of schizophrenia. What is the treatment? Psychotherapy is a treatment. For the mild one, you can talk to the person, try to see the person down, let the person change the way of life, take the person away from drugs and some other things, and that person will get well. Also, we have what we call electroconvulsive therapy. There is a machine that we can use to hit their head. It transmits some form of electric energy to their head, and that will correct the brain. And there are also drugs that can be used to treat schizophrenia. In conclusion, early detection of mental disorder is very important. Every individual that belongs to this age group should avoid all aforementioned contributing factors. And also, people or caregivers around the elderly with these symptoms of mental illness should promptly take them to hospital for expert care. Also, positive healthy life should be embraced. No matter how continue to safeguard all of us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Dr. Taufik Sani for the wonderful delivery of this lecture. When he was delivering the lecture, people were thinking that is he the one that prepared the lecture? I said unless we ask him. So he has done excellent justice to this lecture, and I think this should be extracted out, this mental illness in the elderly. It should also be recharacterized as mental illness in the political class. Because, to be very honest, that's one of the topics that I did during my law school days. medical law, mental illness. And that's the one I had the highest score in all the courses I did in the university then. Because I do believe, it's today I have the details on a medical grant. I was also guessing that people who behave irrationally, they are mentally derailed. And that is the truth of the matter. So we thank the paper preparer and also the presenter. There are so many things which he mentioned, but because we have all listened to it, I will just leave it as that. The one I know concern us mostly now is those Yahoo boys, which I think are also creeping to our youth nowadays. You can see some of them running mad. And I've been telling people that there is no way they will not run mad. There is no one who will use another human being for anything that you will not also run mad. So the earlier they come back, the better for them. There is no shortcut to intelligent and working in life. There is no shortcut. If somebody tell you, I will do what you do for you and I will give you money, it's a lie. So I think this is very important. It's a mental health problem to be thinking you can get money, in one shortcut and without being got caught, for that. But finally, he said something I believe all nurses must find very helpful, Sadasa. He said, when your wife is angry with you, just transfer money to his account. Doctor, sir, I have been saying that. So he has confirmed. I have been so much troubled. How do we solve this problem? So he has provided solution. May Allah provide for all of you, so that you can be transferring. If you transfer the first one, she's still saying, if not because of God, you will see what I will have done for you. And now let me add Muhammad to it. So now because of God, because of Holy Prophet, I will not do anything for you now. So let us live in peace. May Allah continue to provide for all of us. I'll call on the moderator. Brother Tawfiq sir. Bismillah, go ahead.
Now, in the course of the presentation of the last lecture, the Assembly in charge, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Nigeria, in person of Maulvi Adnan Tahir Sahib, just propped in, and I want to honorably, on the authority and by the permission of the chairman side, welcome into our midst the acting missionary in charge, that's Maulvi Adnan Tahir Sahib.
All right, Jazakallah khairan jazak. We welcome the respected acting missionary in charge to our midst. Okay, the next item now is question and answers. So, those who want to ask questions, I think you need to raise up your hand. I think we should get someone to help us administer that. Or put yourself. Doctor, please assist us to cap. Wait first. Let them, so we know. Raise up all your hands, those who want to ask questions. So we will take all the questions. Oh yeah. Okay, we have 17 questions. Number 17, please come forward.
It's not a question per se. I just want to what the doctor made lecture on now, that in our various meetings, we should always be observant. This is a practical thing that has happened in our own end. When somebody at various times refused to come to the meeting, we visited him, we now find that psychologically he's having problems. That every announcement, we need money. Every announcement, we need money. And this is a person that when he talks, you pick a lot from him. A lot of experiences, a lot of advices that will be very good for the Jamaat. So by the time we got there, we found that he's degenerating already. If not that we went there, it would have been another thing. So I just want to bring this to every one of us, that at our various meetings we should observe ourselves. We've seen somebody that is having malaria, like they said, and somebody just says something, before we find that he's having some mental problems. So please, let us all observe ourselves and help ourselves out.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khairan for that advice. Number 16.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry, mention your name and your dealer.
Okay.
All right.
My name is Brother Ibrahim Abdulaki from Akan Circuit, Akan Dilia, Lagos. My only suggestion that one bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan, mo kàn fẹ́ go to the reach another something nínú nǹkan tí wọ́n bá wa sọ, tí doctor bá wa sọ. There is a case ní Bàtàwà ní Alimọ̀ṣọ́ tí wọ́n advice wọn máa ń pé there is a divorce tí wọ́n láàrin àwọn two brothers. Lára àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ member wa tó jẹ́ medical doctor ní ẹni tí gbogbo àmọ̀ dáadáa ni wọ́n advice wọn máa ń pé wọ́n try láti jẹ́mọ́ ní láti ṣe research into details to those the two families nígbà tí wọ́n máa divorce wọn. Ọ̀gá tí jẹ́mọ́ wa ta take care of advice ẹni yẹn fún wa ní pé bí doctor yẹn fún wa ní pé Dr. Agnaji Bello tó fún wa ní pé tó wà ní Ẹ̀ṣọ́jù wọ́n fún wa ní pé nígbà yẹn pé ẹni yẹn ní mental something tó yẹ pé bọ̀tún àbẹ̀bẹ̀ observe tó nǹkan tó dáa pé ẹgbẹ́ ìjọ pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn try láti observe tó jẹ́ pé divorce kò fọ́ mi nìyẹn. Mo kàn fẹ́ advice ní bíbí tó bá máa dìgbà nígbà nígbà tí doctor bá wa sọ irú cases yẹn ìgbà tá a máa take care of ó ti late but at the end of the day a ní solution to that problem. Mo ṣe rántí nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ fún wa yẹn. Number 2 tó máa jẹ́ question mi ní sàn ní pé èmi fẹ́ bèèrè pé ṣé ó possible because nínú àwọn tókè tí aríkàtí ẹni tó lọ fẹ́ non-amadi either is a member or missionary or the circuit missionaries ṣé ó jẹ́ nǹkan tí ó tọ̀nà pàtàkì because aláwẹ̀ finance nínú ìjọ àwọn lọ fẹ́ non-amadi tó jẹ́ Christian wọ́n start ẹ̀yìn àwọn widows ní àárín wa ǹjẹ́ ilé jẹ́ nǹkan tó kárí láàrin àwọn àtàjẹ́ member of circuit missionary or circuit missionaries àwọn ìgbésẹ̀
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan. Number 15.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have a brief comment on the paper just presented, and one of the interpolations of the presenter somewhere along the line, and that's going to lead to a question at the end of the day. Dr. Taufik Sani said that for people who decide to leave the country, for Canada, for America, for European countries on account of the country's economy not being in good shape, that that also can also be regarded as one form of or manifestation of mental disorder. Well, I don't think that can be absolutely correct. Bearing upon the fact that he himself had said in the morning when he gave a lecture on stress management. And one of the coping strategies that you mentioned was, the person suffering from the stress can actually excuse him or herself from the environment, that is giving the stress. That is going by your fight or flight theory. Now, if we look at the way the country is being managed, okay, you discover that a lot of people who are not ready to commit crime will have to excuse themselves from this country. I want to bring up a very, bitter experience of one man in Igagan. That's the late Dr. Abdulatif Aborode. He was a well-established person in Scotland, but because of his love for the country, he came and he went into agriculture. He was gruesomely murdered in his farm. And his eldest son said, "That's our daddy right. We want him not to go to Nigeria." How do you react to this? A lot of people have lost hope in this country because of the way it is being managed. And so if you have an opportunity of escaping, the stressor, I think the better for you. That's my own thing anyway. You can come and defend yourself on this. Yes,
Number 14.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father Miki Yusuf, Lagos mainland Nigeria. I've observed lately that irritancy or not having interest in doing things is a growing factor in our Jama. So, and I'm happy that Dr. Sani had mentioned that some of the things that will lead to some of them. My question would then be, what would be the solution to that? Especially when you see people who are very good in complaining about what is bothering them, or they want to, whatever is bothering them, they want to quickly push it away from them and complain. But when it comes to taking care of people and helping people, they are not interested in doing it. Or let me put it in a very simple language. There are people who can write very well. But when it comes to being hospitable, they are very poor. It means that they cannot even, they don't take care of visitors, they are not good at spending, they are miserly, they are stingy, and they don't welcome visitors. What to be, would that be a mental factor? And what would be a cure to that? Thank you very much, sir.
Number 13. Number 12 should be coming closer at 11.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Our protocol duly observed. I want to thank Dr. Sani for the excellent delivery. May Allah continue to broaden your knowledge in that of heaven. I just have a bit of consideration. Probably you want to reconsider your opinion based on the maybe number 14 or number 15 question. That in Surah to Nisa, Allah said that in al-ladina tatawafahum al-malaikatu zalimi anfusahum, that those who die in a state of wronging themselves, that the angel will ask them, Qalu fima kuntum, why do you have to die in a state of sin, in an environment or situation of wrongs? And they will answer that, Qalu mustadafina fil ard. They will respond that, oh, we were weak in the land, and that was why we took the wrong way. And the angel will respond, or the Quran responded that, Qalu alam takun ardullahi wasi'atan fatu'ajiru fiha. That is Allah's land not vast enough for you to move from one part to the other if you are to escape wrongs. This is the Quran. If you also look at the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions migrated multiple times. He himself migrated under divine guidance. So there may be several reasons to migrate, and it will not just be act of cowardice. So I think that we may want to reconsider this point in the light of the Holy Quran and that of the Sunnah of the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is my contribution. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan. I know there will always be debates on the issue of migration. Both the speaker and other scholars who have other debatable opinions, I think they will be right in the different circumstances. So you can raise your circumstance, we will note them, and then we will comment on them at the end of the discussion. Number 12.
During the course of discussion, there's a type of disorder that was mentioned. When somebody tries to make sure that something is right, it's always checking back to be sure that it's right. So my question is, if somebody finishes prayer and is always wondering, have I prayed 4? Have I prayed 5 or 3? Is he a mental ailment or spiritual problem? So if it's whatever it is, there's a possible solution and fight for such person.
Number 11.
Bathing or bath, apart from the specific bathing that is mentioned or by the Sunnah, I had it in WhatsApp some nights ago that if somebody comes from work or after a daily work and you get to have a bath, they said a man should not bath from the head because it affects the mental, especially when it comes to the matter of stroke also. I want to ask from Doctor, sir, how does it affect bathing, how does it affect the mental? Then secondly, I want to know the Sunnah or the ayah of the Quran that specify on how to take bath, apart from the bath.
Number 10.
I just want to use this opportunity to contribute a bit to Barrister Bashu's lecture on growing the Jamaat. And growing the Jamaat, particularly in our financial contribution, is where I'm going. And I want to just take a cue from what he said to explain what I wanted to talk about, which is that most of us are shielding our children from contributing to the Jamaat. when you hear about Tariq Jalil, Wafu Jalil, how other countries are performing better than Nigerians, it is not that those who are in Ghana, for example, are the one paying all that money. But people tap all their children throughout the world to ensure that they contribute to what they are doing in Ghana. So how are we going to be doing this? Most of us, our children are in very, very high places, but we don't see them contributing to Jamaat activities. So please, grow in the Jamaat. In fact, there's nothing wrong in them paying China somewhere and paying China over here. There's nothing wrong in it. So we have to grow to Jamaat by telling our children to continually perform, financially in what we do in Nigeria. MIU is on the plate now. How many of our children have contributed to MIU, especially those who are not in Nigeria? Even those who are not doing Ahmadiyya with you, you never can tell. If you back to he or she, if you ask them, they are not, okay, you must contribute to this thing. Something can just strike a chord in him or her one day. This place that I'm even contributing money to, let me even follow that money. You never can tell. So that is that. Then secondly, I will start is just to remind our officers who are here, especially circuit presidents and financial secretaries, that it's long overdue that they submit their budgets. Please, we are expecting your budgets. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan. Where's the other one? I think they should take it away. Number 9. Number 8 should be coming closer.
My name is Comrade Abdulsalam Anakobe Ademado Muhammad from Apata Dilia, Obaba Economy. My question goes as thus. How can you identify the difference between physical and spiritual mental illness? 2. The love bias we are talking about. In my own observation, some office holders have caused differences, caused problems in some areas, of which, if some of those office holders are still repeating same office or are giving another office at the same location, the Lord by heart, seeing them that we are just convincing to come back, maybe what they have done for the past years that are still in their mind, can that one convince those one again to come back to the Jamaat? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abdulaziz Mubashir, Ibenyadu Mukom, Infokulia. Question number 1. When a patient is undergoing a wide treatment like chemotherapy that is heading to a kind of a mental problem, is it advisable to stop the chemotherapy? That's 1. 2, what exactly is the Jamaat position, or what is Jamaat doing concerning alternative therapy that has to do with our culture, that is our culture related? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Number 7.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Abdulaziz Tijani from Portugal. First, I have an observation. I don't know whether it has been observed before. When Sarasai was giving us the Azawla pledge at the beginning of the program, I observed that the one he gave was quite much detailed than the one given on the program, so on that printed program. So I don't know whether that one is not detailed. Now, my question, the first question goes to Barrister Badru's side. Considering your lecture on how to move, the Jamaat Fund forward. Now, I want to ask, let's assume that a parent who has done all he could to ensure that he gives his children good Islamic education, send them to IBC, all sorts of programs just to ensure that they are in good spirits. What if at the end of the day, this child or these children fail to go in line with what their parents are preaching or wanting them to be? And I wanted to juxtapose it with this verse of the Quran where Allah says, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. My question on that is, will you hold those parents to ransom if their children fail to follow the teaching of Islam?
Jazakallah khairan. Number 6. Number 5 should be coming closer. Where's number 6? Number 5. They have forgotten their numbers. Number 4. Which number?
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. IT Abdulsalam is my name. Lagos mainland dealer. Lagos. My question is one to two. With respect to the issue of growing Jamaat. The first question is if to be the question whether there is authority for Jamaat to declare a member in question a non-Ahmadi, because it's like an impediment to the progress of the Jamaat. He comes to the mosque, he will sit down with you, but his attitude, his utterance, his body language is anti-Ahmadiyya, and it's affecting the family and the Jamaat, because they will see him as an Ahmadi. So if you talk to people, they don't have any here. So it's a cult in the will of the progress of the Jamaat. Then number 2 is related to the way we relate with respect to our business. To the extent that you say, Shamadia is not beautiful. You will give him money, he will dupe you. As if he doesn't, I don't know why, if he doesn't sign by it, doesn't read by it, or if he read this sideways or opposite down. So this is an impediment. It's an impediment. So it's a factor, because in most cases it is human being, people read, not sermon. And they know you, they know it comes to your mosque, and you still behaving, so they are related in respect of growing Jamaat. So that's like I mentioned,
So number 4. Number 3 should also be coming closer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
statement which is more important to question, which the answer. This is somebody, because environment dictates the behavioral tendencies at times when we corrupt society, which we know. And as somebody that said no, do not allow me, and taking me to government level, taking government to court based on that corruption. They are seeing that somebody that is not right or safe. That's why it's doing the right thing. Now, this same person wants to bring somebody within the fold of the governmental strata to Amalia, and he will start doing somebody who is not upright. Will they easily follow him? That's my question. Then, I want to know whether taking this stand against the status quo, that no, this thing should not be done. Will people in government not hurtful to put him on the ground so that the government will come up? Is that a sickness again for seeing what will engage us by articulating that?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. My name is Raji Tawhid from Bakola area, Bakola Nkonu. Yeah, my question is on external cause of stress, family problem. In case there is a man that a member of the family do come for a request and you give them as little as he has, but get to a certain time that this man is financially down. He explained to the family and they still mount pressure on him. What should we do?
Can you come over again?
I said, under external problem, cause of stress, family problem. In case there's a man that's a member of the family who come for a request, but it got to a certain time that this man is financially down. He explained to those people that come for a request, but they still mount pressure on him for a request.
His own family or family of his wife?
His own family.
Okay.
So, and they still mount pressure on him. What should we do, sir?
Number 2.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dawuda Amuda from Ibadan Bida. My question is, we must have had in the past about a person seeing somebody for the first time and hating that person or loving that person. And if the person is asked why is hating or loving that person, he will say he doesn't even know. And as a matter of fact, he has not even met this person before and is just hating him or just loving him. For such an instance, is this tending to mental illness? In addition to that, if you have a quarrel with somebody, whether the quarrel has been settled between the two of you or not, and you are seeing that person and you are feeling somehow about that person and hating that person, is he also a mental illness? That's my question, sir. That's how
Number 1.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is M.A. Lawal from Oyodile. Amir sir, permit me to speak to ask my question in Yoruba. Mo fẹ́ béèrè ni pé nígbà wọn fẹ́ deliver lecture ẹni tó yẹ kó deliver rẹ̀ wá. Àní ìlú àti sí ẹnìkan tó mọ̀ nípa rẹ̀. Ẹnìyẹn wá deliver rẹ̀ níbi pé bí ìgbà tó jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ ọkọ̀ lẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ dídí àní ò nírú àǹfààní yìí. Irú question yẹn nínú lecture yìí sì important sí wa. Pé ká gbọ́ ẹni tí ò ní nọ́ọ̀sì tí ò ní dọ́kítọ̀ a sì mọ̀ pé ẹnjìníà ò lè deliver rẹ̀ kó yé wa kí ni àmì ìfadà ló ṣe fún wa àbí sáré àbí àǹsàrùdà tó fi jẹ́ pé bóyá wọ́n kí ni rẹ́kọ́dì yẹn wọ́n transfer sí fi understand kìíní yẹn dáadáa. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, all the questions have been asked except number 6. And I'll call on 3 people to answer the questions. The first will be Dr. Taufik Sanisa to take all the ones relating to him. Then after that, Barrister Badu will also take the ones relating to him. And then finally, the Sadasa will take the last question. Yes, the one with the program. And then the last, this last question, yes. Okay, so Dr. Taufik Sanisa.
That's all I got about that too. For the question, it shows that we are very attentive. On the issue of traveling, the only thing I query about traveling is the intention of the traveling. Losing hope in one's country. Of course, it's part of, to love one country is part of faith. And when you lose hope in your country, or you even lose hope in yourself, that's what that tag as an emotional disturbance that we should not have. People can travel because of persecution. There are some people living in Pakistan, other parts of the world because they are being persecuted. People can travel to go and acquire knowledge. People can travel because of advancement. People can even travel because of religion. You can travel out of your country if it's not a good country, religious-wise. What I'm saying is, for once to say I want to leave Nigeria will never be good. Nigeria is bad. I want to leave, but that is the traveling that I query, that anybody who does that for his own motherland may not be doing well, and may be having psychological disorder. I've seen people who travel who will call up when their mother is sick and that my brother want to bring my brother to the hospital. Let me monitor. If I'm also not in Nigeria, how will I monitor your mother? If all the doctors in Nigeria travels out, who manages the people in Nigeria? So traveling out of loss of hope in our country is what I related to mental illness. But people can actually travel, can even travel to go and acquire knowledge and come and bring it back to Nigeria. That's what they did in China. They traveled abroad, they acquire knowledge, and they brought it back to develop their country. We can do that. But to travel and go forever and think Nigeria will never be great is what I term a cowardice attitude, which may be a sign of also mental disorientation, which we should not have as Muslims. On the issue of somebody complaining too much and pushing excuses, it's not good to complain too much. You can complain, but when you complain, also bring solution. And don't think problems can never be solved. And don't push excuses or don't push your fault to other people. When issue happens, take responsibility. Look at how it can be solved and move on in life. We are all human. We can make mistakes. I've seen somebody who works as a doctor. I was a medical student. During the night call, he had a very bad neonate. Neonate had children and newborn below 28 days. And he was very active. In fact, he gave the neonate aminophylline twice during call. While he was alone, he did all his best. During one down in the morning, I was there, a medical student. The neonate developed respiratory distress again, and he was to go and give the neonate another aminophylline. In our presence, normally if you want to give aminophylline, you give it gradually over 15 minutes. And he did this during call, and because he was stressed, when he brought the aminophylline in front of everybody at consultant, he just pushed it once, and the patient died. He committed a mistake, but he took responsibility. We did not kill him. Why will you do this? But you did it during call. He was stressed. He was tired. Of course, we told you should never do that again in your life. He was given a punishment and he moved on. If he now says, why did you ask me to work in the morning again when I had call over? And that's how a doctor should work. You should know. So what I'm saying is that we should not push responsibility. When you make mistake, accept it and move forward in life rather than pushing responsibility and pushing the blame to other people.
Which number is it?
Number 2. No, number 15 or so from behind.
Okay, you didn't write those numbers. Number 15 is Brother Taufik Lawal. You've answered this question. And
yes,
number 13. Number 13, Brother Abdul. So we've taken those two together,
yes,
which is clear. Ibrahim Mustada Yusuf is number 14. That's what solution do you give to somebody who is not welcoming?
Okay, yes, I wrote it in it's also the other way around. Yes, to welcome people, to be nice with people. You know, when we talk about mental disorder, we talk about the emotional side, the psychological side, and the social side. Part of social well-being is to be loving to people, welcome them, and give them the little that you have. These things were exemplified during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Islam. And that Imam Mahdi also trained us on this. So the reason that we have ziyafah everywhere in the world. When you have visitors, you must welcome them, you must take care of them. When you now have an individual who is not doing well in this regard, of course it's a it's a social disorder. We can also be tagged mental illness, but mental illness are not graded the same way. Anxiety is also a mental illness that you get afraid of necessarily. But it's not called mental problem like depression, schizophrenia, mania, and all that. So mental illness has grade. So to do that is not good. Then must call that person and talk to the person. Ways of solving mental illness is also psychotherapy. Talk to the person, talk with the voice of the Holy Quran, voice of the Hadith, the teaching of Imam Mahdi on why it is important to take care of our visitor, and that person can came. So we should not say that that person has mental illness and we just leave him. No, let us get close to him, talk to him the reason why he needs to came. Because apart from the fact that the society wonder, Islam as a religion and Ahmadiyya as a calling also want us to be good to our visitors. Mistake during Salah. Of course, some people, it might also be a mental disorder if it is due to concentration. You know, at times when you make mistake during Salah, because you are not concentrating. And if you have some stress disorder, psychological disorder, you might not concentrate. Maybe while you are praying, you are thinking about how to eat. You are hungry, there is no money, and you do Allah Akbar, and you are thinking, if I finish this, I'm hungry. You might lose concentration. You are praying, and your wife is scared, and when you finish this Salah, there is problem between me and my wife. You might not concentrate. So if it is due to your loss of concentration, it's happening too many, then it shows that there are mental issues that you should look at. But of course, it might also be a spiritual thing. Not concentrating might be because you also don't love God and you are not attached to God. So we must look at it from both sides. Do we have things that are stressing us, that is causing that loss of concentration, or is it that we are not bonding very well with God that is causing the loss of concentration? So it can be dual, it can be spiritual, it can also be mental. So we can look at the cause and find a way of solving it. Dating from the end, you can break anytime. There is no medical, there are things that people will say or people will do that are particular to individuals. Some people don't eat some kind of food because they will react to it. Why some people will eat it and not react to it? Of course, some people believe that if he stress himself, he has been in the sun for a long period of time, if he bathes with cold water from the air, he reacts somehow. We cannot say it doesn't exist. Ordinary paracetamol that we all use, some people react to paracetamol. So people's body makeup might be different. But there is no medical directive that if you want to bathe after a stress, you cannot bathe from your head. There is nothing like that. When individuals because of their makeup, their nature, can react to things. If such person knows that it's reacting to something, the person can stop it for himself because of that reaction. But there is no medical rule that somebody cannot bathe from the head. Difference between physical and mental illness. I don't know what we mean by that spiritual mental illness. But once there is a disease and there is a diagnosis, to us it's a medical condition that should be treated. We can now assess whether the diagnosis has a cure or not. However, for mental illness, the reason why they are also linked to spiritual illness is because psychotherapy works a lot in mental disorder. And prayer is a form of psychotherapy. If you pray and you believe that your problem will be solved, you don't have money, and you believe that your problem will be solved, it can actually help, because psychotherapy is a form of managing mental disorder. So frank mental disorder that we know exists in medicine can also be a spiritual problem if by praying, by giving psychotherapy, that person gets healed. And it works a lot. There are some diseases that you just say, let us pray for that person. And that person, for example, somebody is stealing. It may be a form of mental disorder. So people steal, and it's a mental disorder. Of course, if you pray for that person and you sit him down, you use word of the Holy Quran to talk to that person might stop stealing. You have used spiritual solution to solve that mental disorder. You can say it's a spiritual disorder, you are solving spiritually. But to us too, in the medical room, say you are giving the person psychotherapy with the word of Allah and it has worked. So they actually intermediary. People always say that there's a thin line between mental illness and godliness. Let me tell you, when in the psychiatry world, some people will tell you that you just finished speaking with God. And they even write down the discussion they had with God. And these are people who are taken care of in the mental world. So my query all the time is, when the prophet of Islam also told people that he had voices from the God, some people said he was mad. So how do you differentiate between somebody who is mad and he's saying that he has just received a revelation from God, and somebody who is a man of God who says he has also received revelation from God? So I will query people in the world that maybe these people are prophets of God. We are shaming down here, we are saying they are mental disorder. So those ones are other arguments that will do another day. But there is a thin line between mental illness and godliness at times, and it takes being spiritual to be able to identify between the two. Chemotherapy and the mental illness. Of course, for every drug, there are side effects. Chemotherapy is a very powerful drug that kills cells in the body and all that. Of course, the doctor will weigh the effect of stopping the chemotherapy and the mental illness. There's a mental illness that will just be transient. With the stoppage of the drug and some other treatment, it will go. If you think that not giving the chemotherapy will make the patient die on time, you can continue to give it, while we now look at the way of managing the mental complication that can come out of it, that will have solution. But if you think that person can go to frank madness with your chemotherapy, can actually stop the chemotherapy. But if it is a cancer, whether the person goes mad or not, the person may still die. So we now need to weigh it. Should I allow this person to run mad before he dies, or allow him to die in his normal sense of reality? So it's a thing that will be weighed by the doctor, looking at the adverse effect of the chemotherapy and the drug. So we need to consult our doctor and look at the side effect of both and then take a decision. People talk about alternative medicine. What was the stand of the Jamaat? Maybe Salah will answer that, and I mean. But what I know is that whatever we do, that we do not do shirk. I tell people that if you use dere, you cannot be against Islam. Because there is no difference between dere and subcutaneous injection. Subcutaneous injection are the injection given on the skin. And if you go there and you cut that leaf, and then maybe that leaf was for malaria, I don't know, and you make it dry, you now grind it, you now put a mat so that it can enter my blood, you now use that thing to rub it so that it can enter into my blood, and it works. It might not be against Islam. So I tell people it is the intention behind your bere, what you use to do the bere, and the incantation, whether you use incantation or not, can determine whether it is un-Islamic or not. Of course, traditional medicine actually works. The problem we really have with them is the dosage, the duration, and the confidence that they will have likely complication they have. For every English drug, orthodox drug, they will give medical treatment, they will tell you the side effects. Who will paracetamol, you give the effect. They will be enough to tell you that if you use this drug, you have this side effect, side effect, side effect. They will also tell you of the dosage and the duration. What we need to do about alternative medicine that can also work is that we should also look at the dosage, look at the duration of usage, and also look at the side effects that can come out of it. Of course, we can start doing research and we can start using our cultural things to also treat illnesses. God is not against that. Environment and behavior. Of course, our environment can actually determine our behavior. But in every environment, there are things that are norms. Whether everybody in Nigeria smokes, we all know that smoking is not good. We know that drinking is not good. Even our culture, Moluabi does not do that. We know that corruption is not good. Whether everybody is now doing it or not doesn't matter. You can stand your ground and try to challenge that evil thing. People can tag you as being mad, but everybody knows that in the real sense you are not mad. That you are saying the correct thing is the perception of those people. So what we determine mental illness is how much you are able to comply with the norms and we did it as the correct thing and the truthful thing. So we should not allow our behavior to drag us away. Even praying is not, if you pray now, it's not the norms. People don't pray. If people see you praying, you are putting your head on the floor, you are coming out. People can make jest of you. But that's what God wants us to do. You cannot say because you want to follow the crowd, you will not play again. Or because people are now drinking, you must also drink. I went for a meeting before a conference. Then Dr. Amati was in that conference. I can't remember. I think it was in Enugu. To get Martina was so difficult for those of us who doesn't drink alcohol. Every time the guy is alcohol, we are begging for Martina. They have to go and help us get Martina from somewhere. We will not say because everybody now drinks now, we also not go and drink. It's not possible now. We will request for what we want. If it is not available, we will drink water and forget about it and move on. So whether the society is corrupt or not, we should still start with the norms because the norms is always correct. It doesn't matter what the society is doing. family problem and stress, problem from the family. Yes, we must be able to manage our family with our problem. Even after telling them that you don't have money, they still come asking. Tell them you don't have, and let your conscience be clear that you have not deceived them, that you don't really have. There are times that I don't give money at home. My pay slip can play around the house. And my own is, if I collect salary of 1 naira, and I spend the whole 1 naira, and can I explain how we spend the 1 naira? I can't go and steal. I'm a salary earner. When it is on the 10 or the 15, and money is exhausted, you have to wait till the end of the month. I don't have any other bill, and I can't go and rob because of anybody. So if you are truthful, be sure that you have spent the money well, and be sure that people who are asking you for money you don't have. Tell them you don't have, and be happy telling them you don't have. Don't say, they will be thinking I'm a bad person. You can't be bad to yourself. Once you don't have, you don't have. Be able to convince them, explain to them, beg them, ask them to pray for you, and be happy that you are doing the right thing. It is your conscience that matters, not what they feel about you. Affection at first sight, it's not the mental illness. So you can see people at first impression and start liking them or start hating them. It depends on our psychology. It depends. Some men, they like very light complexion girls. Even if they see gold, who is light complexion, they will run after the gold. Because that is what is in their psychology. So it is what you have that you put in your brain that you will like. So if you like somebody who is spiritual, and they now send the missionary to your Jama, that missionary is spiritual. The first day you are seeing the missionary, you can develop love for the missionary. Because he's a spiritual person. So it's not the mental disease, it's our personality. It's what we like in people that we have actually exhibited. And also dislike people at first sight may also be our personality, but we must not encourage that. We must be able to come to consciousness that before that I dislike this person, with appearance doesn't mean he's a bad person. Let me still be open in my mind and see the good that the person will do. Then, hating someone after even solving the differences between you, it's not good to hate. Islam does not even encourage us to hate. If you have problem with someone, you have misunderstanding with someone, you dislike him at that time, they help you solve the problem, he has apologized, and you are still hating him. You think that it is inevitable that you go and solve your differences, there is a mental disorder. Once you know where to go and solve differences in heaven, it is easier for me to help you solve problems than for God to help you solve it. So let the system of the Jama solve the difference between you and people in this life. Forgive them and love them and move on, rather than waiting till when you get to the day of Qiyamah that we don't know how terrible or tough that place will be before you go and settle things, differences with your Jamaat member and other people. Matter continue to help us. I think I've taken all my questions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Jazak. I think there are still some others, but I think Barrister Badru will probably take those. That has to do with the society. Barrister Badru, sir, please, sir, answer those questions that are yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, there is this question from Brabla Fistime, a parent who has trained his children properly, and eventually they did not just follow the path of the Jama'ah. Then he also cited Inna Kalam Tahadi Man Ahbabta. I should justify. Yeah, I will say that if you have tried your path, you have tried. We have in the cases of messengers of God who have also trained their children and they were tried with one of those children. We have cases. But what we are saying is that you may not depend on your weakness now and call it a trial from God. Some of us are seen physically displaying some attitude, bringing their children to mosque, training them, making them hafiz and the rest of them. But at the back of his mind, he is not being truthful with all these things. He's just at the end of the day,
whatever your intention is, that's what the Prophet Islam said. Innamal a'malu bin niyat. Your intention will manifest at the end of the day. You will now want everybody to be sympathetic towards you, whereas so there is no way any of this will happen to you without you being able to say, I think I'm at fault too. And it takes courage for people to admit that, yes, I think I'm wrong, especially men. There is another question whether the Jamaat can declare someone a non-member because of his attitude. I think the Amir will answer that. I don't know, the Bishop is also here, so I don't know have the authority to say whether you have the capacity to, but such person can be reported to the authority. Such person can be reported to the authority. We may have amongst us infiltrators and who want to play the role of a fifth columnist, deliberately wanting to cause problem from within. I will give you instances. Unfortunately, the first Khalifa's children, children of Hazrat Maulana Hakim Nuruddin, we had from them, I think it's just only one that escaped. Out of 4 boys, only one of them stood with the Jamaat. The other 3 went against the Jamaat completely. And one was now standing within the Jamaat, being used by the non-Ahmadis to cause disorder within the Jamaat. Until the second Khalifa was forced to declare publicly that this one is no longer one of us. So you may have issues like that. But they have to be reported first to the authority for determination. Yes, there's also this question from IT as a rider to his first question. Refusal to transact with the Jamaat. I have heard someone publicly said, Emi, laye mi le gbese fun Jamaat. Laye kò lè ṣẹlẹ̀. Yes. Well, Jamaat kọ́ ló ń gbéṣẹ́ fún ọmọ Jamaat ló ń gbéṣẹ́ fún. Ẹ̀kọ́ lẹ́jọ́ ní òun ní òní. Somebody here taught me how to bill. I don't know how to bill. In fact, I have a resolution within my mind that when I'm representing a member of the Jamaat, I will never place a bill. Never. Some people have now taken it to be no problem. When you do it, in fact, somebody, I work for somebody for something that works about 20 million. And as a lawyer, I think I should be entitled to 10%. So, and the person gave me 25,000 and said, and he will call me the second time and I will still be there. I am not serving him. What I did was to tell him, look, I will still work for you, irrespective of how you do it. I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for myself. Because I know if you know that you are owing me, you will pay. That's it. You will pay. Allah will take it from you. It's not me that will take it, it's Allah. You have given me what you want to give me and you know you are cheating me. Continue. Allah will take the remaining. That's my attitude to it. So I will never say, I will not relate with members of the Jamaat because of certain poor knowledge, understanding they have. No, I won't. Ahmadiyya is one body, one community. And let me tell you, you can never, I repeat, you can never find the type of relationship, brotherhood that exists within us anywhere in the world. I say it with all sense of responsibility. You can never find it anywhere in the world. Then I remember that they are made mention that if you get your tarbiyah right, you will get everything right. Then I think somebody, Yusuf Oladimeji, if I still remember fine, he said, in a corrupt society, abstaining from corruption is seen as wrong. Yes. I will give an example. You are in a public transport, traveling, and the policemen are on the road. They stop you. In 2-3 minutes that the driver is waiting, talking with the officer, you will hear passengers, that one no now, settle them now. Even when the police is not even asking for anything. Settle them now, don't delay or settle them. They have seen such settlement as right against wrong. You who wants to maintain a position, what do they want? Let me answer their questions. If it is paper, this is my paper. You know, you want to be diligent. You want, they will see you as Alasheji. This one, don't delay or don't disturb us. People, the society have begun to turn right to wrong. And that is what the Prophet Islam said. The Prophet Islam said, how would your condition be? إِذَا رَوَيْتُمُ الْمَعْرُوفُ مُنْكَرًا. How will your condition be when you begin to see right things as wrong? Well, munkara ma'rufa, and when you begin to see wrong as right. Are we not in that situation? We are already in that situation. It is for you who knows the right thing to maintain. Because if you change, if you join them, people will say if you can't beat them, if you join them, you are doomed together. Allah will not say you have tried. No. Such excuses will not sell. It won't fly with God. Maintain. Remain there. Because the Prophet Islam was told, Zohar al-Fasad fil Bahr wal Bahr. He knew that he's coming to a society that is corrupt. Why did he not join them? He was able to reform that society. That's why you are here. So, where will you leave your own society? What will you leave it for? And I think, Mr.
Yes.
This is what
all right. What I will do before Sarasa will take over is I will go through all those. I have marked a lot that has been answered, but some I have not marked. Brother Ibrahim from Atlantic raised the question of risk data and divorce. And he mentioned that the German did not do sufficient research. Probably they wouldn't have divorced those people. What kind of research would that have been? I think that question will what kind of research would that have been? Is it that he's having mental health problem? And if you know he's having mental health problem and he's behaving irrationally, how will it be handled? Because he's not sick. He's not physically sick, but mentally there is suspicion that he's having mental health problem. Somebody that is not admitting that he has any problem, what will the Jamaat do? And how will the Jamaat, take such a person to maybe a psychiatric hospital or somewhere to treat the person? There are some of them who are very respectable. He's occupying very good position within the Jamaat. So, I'm just flagging it that if you know what the Jamaat can do, of course, the Jamaat will be very happy to do that in that circumstance. But it will be a bit challenging. There was another question for Barrister Bakar, I think. Is it right marrying non-analysts? Please, Barrister Bakar, you need to answer that. Okay, you stood there. Okay, I'll stand there that question. But the Jamaat has a rule as to who you can marry and the period for which somebody must have joined the Jamaat before you can marry. And we have a lot of widow and a lot of young Latina within the Jamaat. A lot. So I think it would be wrong to be looking outside when we have a lot of people within the Jamaat. So I think we should look inward. If I'm not mistaken, both in the east, the north, and the southwest, we have many ladies that are not attached. So if not for some other reasons, I don't really think somebody will be looking for somebody outside the Jamaat. So that is not approved. If somebody will marry somebody outside the Jamaat, the person must have signed the bayat and be in the Jamaat for I think a period of about 8 months or thereabouts. 6 months. Sorry? 6 months. Yes, 6 months. And if I were you, you must have been within the Jamaat for more than a year. Because there was one brother, one of the biggest Jamaat in Nigeria. This brother, when he wanted to marry one Ahmadi lady, you know, he was coming to the mosque very regularly. Before all of us would get to the mosque, he would be there. He would sweep the mosque. He would put water in the kettle. He would do everything, you know, so that he knows the father is an elderly member of the Jamaat to be very, very, very strong Ahmadi, you know, father. So he believes, and he said he has signed the bayat. And you know the father can only be impressed by such action. So after some time of studying, his house is far from the father's household, where the mosque is. But he will be the first person in the mosque. He will be doing Nawafil there. I don't even know later on whether he knows how to recite Fatiha correctly or not. But after, within 3 months, the old man believed that no, this is a very good Ahmadi, and they did the Nikah. After the day of the Nikah, he has never been to that mosque. He hasn't. And after 3 children, he actually abandoned the lady. He abandoned the lady, and there is nobody the lady can report him to. See, today, there's nobody can report the man to. So it's very important that we share experience. Because there's no, I know we have difficult challenges within the Jamaat. But if the two of them are within the Jamaat, the Jamaat will support the weaker one. If it is the lady that somebody is maltreating, we will tell that person the truth to his face. And there is nothing he can do to anyone. We have a situation where local Jamaats will disagree with somebody because of the way he's treating his wife. The circuit will disagree very strongly. And when it comes to the headquarters, the same thing. So, to make sure that he does what is right, hardly will you find that somewhere. And it doesn't really matter where the person, all we need is that it's an Ahmadi. So, I would strongly recommend, especially to the youth, who will say, okay, let me go and marry outside. If trouble is coming from outside, it's going to be difficult for you to manage. So I think that's the one I think we have on the answer. And there was one by Brother Mubashir Abdulaziz on what the Lord is doing about alternative therapy. I know Dr. Sunny has answered that, but that is a medical issue. The German, apart from the hospitals that we run, I don't really think the German does alternative therapy. We can only encourage those who are doing it or support them if there is anything you think the German can do. Okay, so I want Sarah to answer those two questions. Somebody talk about that brother Hafiz May on the pledge that we read, and brother Emil Awad on this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, explain the gastro assassin, this one, you have it, that's the correct pledge inside it. If you don't have, ensure that you get a copy. You brought some, just with Sada service, you get a copy. You want in the for the 23rd Annual National Workshop, also saying that it's a bit congested. There's some examination. So, but that is why we have the original one. So I want to encourage the committee to always look at the condition before they start putting it into all of our medicines. Then number 2, bí bàbá Ọ̀yọ́ ṣe bèrè gbogbo ìgbà la máa ń sábà sọ yí pé tí ẹ bá níṣòro ẹni tó máa fún yín ní lecture consult the headquarters, consult the SADA. We always send you the personnel to fitting fún workshop yìí. Ṣùgbọ́n dandan ni pé kẹ́ ẹ lọ ṣe workshop yẹn ní èdè táwọn èèyàn yín gbọ́ nílé kẹ́ ẹ lè gbọ́ láìpọ̀ yìí. Níbi báyìí tí bá sọ̀rọ̀ jù àtàwọn láti ẹ̀dọ́ ẹ̀sàkọ̀ àti other places lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ lọ má complain. Other places tí ò ń ṣe ẹ̀sàkọ̀ àwọn náà complain lápòjù ló fẹ́ sọ. Nítorí náà la ṣe dúró tí òyìnbó oníkálùkù kó lọ yanjú aáwọ̀ nípa deliver lecture nílé. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ bá níṣòro ní àdúgbò ẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ tó lè deliver lecture bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe fẹ́ ẹ kàn sí headquarters. Ó jẹ́ kí n rántí deliver lecture ìrànlọ́ nígbà tí yẹ́nsìmàlà gba yẹn lọ́sẹ̀ bàtàlìdì tí wọ́n jẹ́ yẹ́nsìmàlà fún Ọ̀yọ́, and I did very well. You can testify to that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, our respected Sadar sir. So, lastly was the question of whether can a member be declared a non-Ahmadi because of his attitude, which is negatively affecting the Jamaat. The answer is no. The answer is no. No Ahmadi can declare another Ahmadi as a non-Ahmadi because of his behavior. It has happened recently because of anger when two people are quarreling with themselves and one rules and the other one is not an Ahmadi to Marcus, and it was referred back that we should comment. And I know because they were having issues. So, and I wrote back that the two of them are Ahmadis. So, if His Holiness would permit, we will sit down to resolve it. And His said, go ahead. And we called the two of them. Before the one that said this is not an Ahmadi, I said, well, he is an Ahmadi. His Wasiat number is also. Before the letter even came, you know, the anger had subdued. So, if an Ahmadi is not behaving properly, I think we should be praying for him a lot, and also draw his attention to our value system. I understand that some people can be very, like uncontrollable and behaving in a very negative way. But don't let us declare them as a non-Ahmadi. For our information, it is only the Caliphate that can declare somebody to be a non-Ahmadi. And we must have put up a petition against that person. We will send it to Uzur to excommunicate him from the Jamaat. We've done it sometimes. And Uzur will say, no, go and talk to him. Go go and talk to him. So don't let us think we can declare anyone as a non-Ahmadi without following the due process. So if anyone will be declared non-Ahmadi, there will be a letter to that effect that the person should be excommunicated. We will investigate, send all the reports if truly the person should be excommunicated. And that is after Usul's approval is when anyone can be excommunicated from the Jamaat. So Jazakallah Khair to Dr. Tafik Sani and Barrister Babusa for the job and our Sada for answering all the questions. So that takes us to the end of question and answers. We have guest remarks. So under the guest comment, I want Sada Naib, Amir Finance and Admin to make a comment, and then Sada Maggie Sudan Namadia and our respected missionary in charge, they are here. So Nabasa Musa from that.
Let me start under the sitting protocol established by Musa. I was, when questions were being asked, I was whispering to Barasabaju that, can you imagine that questions that are being asked, if not 80%, 70% of those questions were posed in the lecture given by Dr. Sani. The thing of this workshop, I expect that many questions will be asked on that topic. One will determine the role of Ansarullah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there were three questions were asked on that topic. That is where I expect our focus to be. Of course, health is very, very important, and we were all, carried away when the lecture was being delivered. However, the role of Ansarullah and growing the Jamaat is also a very, very important topic, and that's why it was chosen as the theme of this workshop. The lecturer talked very, very well, and it is up to every one of us to really work on those things that he has talked about. How do we grow the Jamaat? Being the Ansarullah is a responsibility that is so much, and except we take a decision individually, we will just be kind of deceiving ourselves. Because if we are really convinced by the lecture delivered by Pastor Bali, I expect many questions, many reactions, many observations to have raised on that topic. Aside from that, I want to also remind us as Ansarullah, I mean, I've been talking about this from time to time, that Rousseau said Nigeria should be financial independent. We have so many things on our hands that we need funds to execute. It is important that we continue to remind ourselves, NYU, we are going to be given a site that we are now using as a take-up site, mini campus. Work has started there. We need so much money, so much money. We have passed, I don't correct me if I'm wrong, the stage where we say, put down your shanda for 1 year. So those of us that have fulfilled it, we still have to do again if we really want to accomplish this target. Those of us that are fully paid, we still have to pay again because we are looking at about 350 million. How much do we have? We have 120 million. 120 million. After 1 year, 4 months. And we are going to 350 million. So I want to plead with every one of us. Like somebody said, maybe either by Batu or Abisa, don't limit it to yourself. Involve your children too in the contribution. Involve your children. You'll be surprised that if you are paying 20,000 or 50,000, I'm sure your children will be paying about 250,000. And he also said something that some of us will try to shield our children, from Jamaat activities. You don't want people to know that your child, is working at a company that is being well paid. I don't know how we are going to go to Jamaat if that is our attitude towards the Jamaat. So I want to see this opportunity that I'm here to appeal to all of us. Now look, MIU project is a very, very important project. When you so, give us an assignment, I don't know when I have to look back. It was doing that assignment. We can't just look back. It's a duty for every one of us to make sure that that project is successful. I pray that Allah will continue to help us. But let us take that decision, that we are going to be actively involved in making that project a reality. May Allah assist us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan jazaa to respected Namasa. Sadar Majid Sudan Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected staff, the respected Sarasa, and all the protocols. My respected fathers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. It's a great honor to be part of this global gathering. Being offered the opportunity to pass some messages, and I'll take it specifically from the theme of this 23rd workshop for the Vice and Sauda. And then I'll be taking it from the understanding that even though I'm your child, I'm your son, even though we are your children, I can say with the little I give on this heart, I can say and I can see that some many homes are crumbling. Many homes are not really representing the Ahmadiyya community well. And then it starts from a lot of these that Pastor Badio has established. And then I actually want to take in view, we want to say we want to grow the Jamaat, that many of us, even including members of my Sudan, of course, but because I've seen that the kind of person we are as fathers will mirror the kind of children we be. There is this saying that if I yakunu morobi, yakunu moroba. The way the person that nurses the child is what the person is nursing would become. Because the person mirrors who is nurturing him or her. And then yesterday when we had a session where on the Buenos Aires, we had a lecture on the law of Hazrat Imam Ali Salam for the Quran. I understand that when the Sanasa was asking or trying to get data of those of us that can read Quran very well, I could see that a number of us hands were down. And then, probably because we feel that we are old, then we cannot learn again. Let me remind us that we are the luckiest beings on earth. Why? Because when Rasulullah was raised as a messenger, we do not love Rasulullah. He was already a Nasir. Rasulullah was already 40 when he was raised as a prophet of Allah. And then Rasulullah did a diligent job for the number of years that you all know, 23 years. And then that tells us that the responsibility of the Ummah of Rasulullah, the responsibility of upholding the true ism of the advent of Muhammad lies with us, the Ansarullah. And President Masabado has mentioned that because of our responsibility as a father, everything comes to us. The Anusa also mentioned it, that as fathers, the Lajna, the Ansar, the Akudam, the wives, the Lajna are responsible, we are responsible for their actions and inactions. So it's important that we also acquire that knowledge. We should not say because we are old, we are member of Ansarullah, and we should not learn. We must ensure that we are deliberate about learning, which will be an effort through which many of our young ones among the Akfar and Kudam will also take shape from. The number two is we should be very concerned about our children, and then we take a lot of lessons from Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. We realize that when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was going through his messengership, he was taking along his children. Specifically, we remember that when the foundation of that sacred house was laid, he was with Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam. So that's to say that he was with him and he was trying to train his child. And we realized that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam so loved his family so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, when Allah says, I want to make you a leader on earth, he says, Walil Dhuriyati. He did not forget his project, he did not forget his children. That Allah says, my promise or my guidance is not for those that are transgressors. So that's to say that as a father, he was making effort and he was also praying. As a father, we appear to be like a root that has branches. When we have branches, for instance, what I mean is you have your wife, you have your children, you have, if you are opportune by Allah's grace, you witness having your grandchild or grandchildren as Allah wills. That's to tell us that by the time we make effort to ensure that we have peaceful home, we have a home that we can always be proud of, it must transcend to our direct children, and of course those that Allah will bless us with from the grandchildren. And let me say that if you fail to train our homes, it is certain that those that are not trained will marry those that are trained. That is why it's a collective effort, it's a collective responsibility to ensure that the aim of growing the Jamaat starts from our home, and we must exemplify it as much as possible. And then also I want to note, as respected Alisa noted, that the Jamaat Tajmid today is around 65,000 plus. And then we have started with the respected Alisa on Tajmid issue. We have observed in the past 2 years when the Jamaat was so deliberate about getting correct data about Tajmid in Nigeria. And we understood that 19,370 was reported as the data of Managed Sudan in Nigeria. However, the data of Managed Sudan in Nigeria as of today is 5,243 on the Sudan portal. The question is, where are these 14,127? Then the question means, the best way to answer it is for we the fathers, as the custodians of the oath. And sir, I understand that when the effort was made 2 years ago to get our elite rights, the parents, the oaks, filled a number of names of children that they know that these are children, and we get back to them into the Jamaat. But Managed Sudan is not seeing them. 14,000 people, where are they? And they were reported when the Jamaat made that effort to get correct data. So that's to tell us that a number of our Maan Sudan members that are your children, that are my colleagues, are not functioning in the Jamaat, and it is the responsibility of every one of us. Then, going back to the verse of Quran that I mentioned about, where Ibrahim alayhi salam did what he did, and while he was praying, also making effort for his descendants to be part of Islam fully, then we must ensure that we also go back home and grow the Jamaat from our home. When we were able to return the 14,000 members of the Maan Sudan, we will see that it will be a multiplying effect in our society, not only in the Jamaat, to gain more people back to the Jamaat. And lastly, as we are fathers, I want to remind us as believers that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has acknowledged that for every believer, Rasulullah says, "Al-mu'min bayna al-khufatayn, bayna ajalin qad mada la yadrim Allahu sadiq fi, wa bayna ajalin qad makiya la yadrim Allahu sadiq fi. فليتزود العبد من نفسه لنفسه ومن شبابه لأعرابه ومن دنياه لآخرته وما بعد الدنيا لمستعصي وما الدنيا إلا دارين الجنة أو النار." And Muhammad says that for every believer you must be afraid of two things. The first is the lifetime you have spent before now, before you became a nurse, before you became old as you are. You must be afraid if Allah actually accepted what you have done. You must be responsible, you must be afraid and be accountable of your actions before now. Then, and the day you will die, between now and the time you no longer exist, and even after you will be in the grave, that they will open it for you to see what you have done. You do not know what will happen to you. Let us be afraid of that. Every soul, every nursing, every father should prepare himself from your soul, from within you. Prepare that you want to live a good life, and you want to live a good life for your family members when you leave this world. Rasulullah says, when you are a youth, before you become old like this, many, I'm sorry to say, but it is truth. We have a member of Maan Sudan, many of them, that were not responsible as member of Maan Sudan. Therefore, when they became Ansarullah, they will not be able to give what they don't have. So it's important that from the cradle, we must, from our atfal, we must ensure that our children are well engaged in the teachings of Islam and the Prophet Islam. When we do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not wicked. He has never in his attributes mentioned that he's a wicked Almighty. He is of Rahman. That's why that's a lot of times he mentioned that he's Ar-Rahman. So therefore, when you have done what's supposed to do, Allah will shower his Rahman on you. So let us ensure that we do what is necessary, and then Rasulullah ended that tradition that there is nowhere again after this dunya except Jannah or Nar. That is Jannatu or Hellfire. So we pray that Allah will make us dwellers of Jannah and not Hellfire. So let us make efforts, deliberate efforts, while we pray and while we make necessary action to ensure that by Allah's grace we grow the Jamaat, especially from our home, from getting those that have lost in the Jamaat within our homes back to where it's supposed to be, and especially among the members of Sudan, that will actually help us when we get to Ansarullah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, Sadar Majlis Sudan al-Ahmadiyya Nigeria. So finally, he said it's the big malam that leaves the mosque last. So I will call on the acting missionary in charge, Mobi Adnan Tahir Saab, to please make his comments before closing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respected Islam, Salasa Majlis Ansarullah, Salasa Purnamaya, and the Respected Although the comments have been made before me, they are covered so many things, especially the Respected Salasa Purnamaya. that we were discussing about excommunication from Jamaat. Remember that somebody raised the question also on the attitude. Let me mention one that in the time of, if I'm not mistaken, fourth Khalifa, so said that when the report come to me that the member of Jamaat did so, and he should be excommunicated from Jamaat. And you are addressing that, do you feel that it have to, or it make me happy? I always feel pain when I'm going to sign that from any countries or nation that to me. So, look at the last system of Jamaat, from Jamaat, then circuit, then national level, likewise, Tamil India and Assam, they have grassroots level. Why other Muslim Muhammad made this course structure that this type of reports should not reach to Khalifa unless until it is very, very necessary. And those that level, we have the real committee, they should try their best that the person should correct himself before it is reported to national headquarters. And then in national headquarters, we also have the real committee, we also have a Islamic committee. We should try our best that our brothers should not, or we should not lose our brothers from this Jamaat of Muhammad. Then, if the Amir feels no, that is enough, we have tried our best, then it is necessary that it should be reported to Khalifa of that time. So I believe that if we try our best on the grassroots level and the national level, that our members should say, on the one hand, our Khalifa is saying that we should do tabligh and bring more soul in Jamaat. And on the other hand, it looks very, to me, it does not look good just that we should send in the report that this person should be excommunicated, this person should be. We should try our best that our brother should be safe. May Allah Almighty help us all, missionary or other system of Jamaat. May Allah Almighty follow the special of the Muslim.
Jazakumullah khairan jazak, respected acting missionary in charge, sir. I think it's only one recommendation that was made, and it was very important to make that recommendation because it has to do with the highly placed member of the Jamaat whose son did the car and were dancing there. And general feeling, I don't like making a recommendation for anything negative at all to go to Americans. But because it's highly placed, if it is a low person, they will say, oh, because it's low person, that's why they are not doing anything about it. So we have to, and the Zulu said, okay, notwithstanding, go and be educating him and then the children and all of them, all together. So Jazakallah khairan jazak. So what we have now is closing remarks and closing prayers. My closing remarks is only one sentence that please, everything you have listened to, make use of them. Barakallahu lakum. Please join me in silent prayers. Okay, sorry, before the silent prayers, we have some announcements. I think 2 announcements. Brother Tawisa, Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The first announcement, is from the next other admin, Alaji Dauda Raji. We have been repeating these announcements since yesterday. We have some boxes sponsored by the Humanity First, that we are being requested to donate handsomely to those boxes. They are stationed strategically around this venue. Please let us respond adequately. Then some members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat have some letters from the markers that they have not collected. Those letters are with the respected General Secretary side, and I want to believe that those letters are with him here right now. We are announcing that after leaving this venue, we should meet with the General Secretary, that's Alaji Abbas Olawale Iromin inside, to collect those letters. The personalities are the ZAC President Okyogun in Oyo State, then Brajima Abdulatif, the address is not stated here, Brabalogun Sharafuddin Bayo, Ozoba Parakot, Abdurrahim Abdulhamid,
Zariaji, Kogi State, Molvi Sadiq Abrahim, Prakot, Anjoni Abdulkadir, Ekiti State, Ali Ismail Oluwadamilola, Akure, Ondo State, Mr. Yusuf Ogunshola, Kaduna, Maruf Oluwaseyi Gbadebo, Olororo, Shagamu, Ogun State, Mustafa Yusuf Oluwatoyin, Ahmadiyya Quarters, Nasarawa, Molvi Olayinka Abdulsalam, Nasarawa State, Hafiz Bashiruddin Babalola, Nasarawa State, Brother Musa Mustafa Tunde, Kano State, Shobayo Abdujali, Lagos State, Abdul Mumin, Lagos State, Mr. Abdulaziz Ahmad, Ogun State, Ibrahim Abibullah, no address is stated here, Abdul Tarak, Obalende Yebo, Ogun State, Odubiyi Abdulaziz, no address is stated, Yunusa Oyewumi, no address, Brother Olabode Abdulhakim, Moweba for Ogun State, Brother Samiu Adio, no address, Ibrahim Toyib Damilare, no address, Adana Sharafa, Ayetoro, Ogun State, Ibrahim, Lagos State, Ballo Wasu, Abiodun, Lagos, Salman Ibrahim, no address, Omoyele Abdulhakim, no address, Mr. Nasser Abdusalam, Mowe, Ogun State, Shitu Mubarak, Ifo, Ogun State, Sulaiman Abdulhakim, no address, Abdul Mumin Al-Asashi, no address. The Eletu Odibo family, Akoyi Abdulhakim, Jamia Mbashir. Okay, sir. I think the announcement from the NEPSADA admin is that boxes are available for collection by the various circuits that are around here. Not that we should just donate here. We are still going to move the boxes to our various destinations. Then, Akoyi Abdurraqib, Jama Mbashirin, Jima Abdulatif, no address. Alim Mashhud, no address. Adejimi Musbaudin, Onikolobo Abeokuta. Then Brother Ashir Ahmad Masroor, no address. Finally, the following people are here to collect the following delegates are here to collect their calendar from the Ishayat department. After the program, please meet with Dr. Kazim Adam's side, the Koyed Ishayat, to collect your calendar. Abuja Delea, 50 copies. Agbede Delea, 15 copies of the calendar. Auchi, 10 copies of the calendar. Benin, 15 copies. Borgu, 5 copies. Calabar, 5 copies. Ife Delea, 25 copies. Igala, 20 copies.
Jos, 15 copies. Ghana, 7.
Kano, 7. Nasarawa, 15. Okeogun, 40. Prakot,
7. And Sokoto, 7 copies.
Okay. Receipt booklets are available for collection by the various Jamaats. Jazakumullah khairan
jazakallah. Please join me in silent prayers. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.